Hello, hello. Yep, there we go. Lower that a little bit. You know, I'm gonna change the music. You know, I'm gonna change the music. Hey, don't mind me. Don't mind me. Just gonna go change the music. You served me well, but served me well. I mean, okay, I guess you can see me. Hey guys, what's up? What's up? I'm just being the audio person real quick. 1 second. See what this one sounds like. Is this the vibe I'm looking for? Is this the vibe I'm looking for? Ooh. That's pretty nice. Yeah, I played this yesterday, but I'm into it still. Hi! Hi, Waffles! Hello. Hi, hi, hi. Oh, check it out. It's my other setup. It's my other setup for my other mood. My other mood. Okay, we're gonna talk about this, okay? We're gonna talk about this. We go furiously starts. It's good, it's good. How will I do this? I guess I'll look this way. Yeah, that's perfect. Okay, everyone. Let's set everything straight, okay? Let's set everything straight. Let's set everything curved. Let's set everything not straight. Let's not do that, actually. Forget about that. Let's go in a circle. Let's go in a wobbly line. I want to go in a wavy line with you all. Follow me on this wavy journey we're about to partake on. I'm going to set the scene a little bit here about where did these questions come from? Where did these wavy questions come from? I've been collecting them on my Discord server for a long time now. Can someone tell me, does someone want to go check when did that thread open on my Discord server? When did it open? Thank you, Gremlin. He had a little thing. So it's been kind of in the works for quite some time, actually. You can't draw like that, have graphics tablet fat. Oh, yeah, it's a way, you know, it's a way. Sometimes you're scrunched up like this. You know, I used to. It's probably better to have it at a little bit of a different angle, but I'm holding it up here high and tall because I'm proud to show the back of this tablet. February. So these questions that we're going to be going over have been asked since February. 4 months of gathering questions. Questions that the people of Nexus have been wanting to know. And if you don't know anything about Nexus, well, I tried my best, you know. I worked with the lovely Delphix Spiel to have this lovely. They had she had full creative direction of this, but it's quite helpful for introducing people to it. So if you catch me at the start of my streams, I'm gonna be, I think what I'll do, I think you saw today, I'm gonna be mixing up the lore information that we're gonna be showcasing. It's not gonna be every single day, but I will, for this debut week, I'll make that many variations. I think that'd be fun. So you're not reading the same facts over and over and over again, going crazy. I'll have a few. I'll have a few, and it sounds like Delphix interested in perhaps expanding upon it, but I would never imply that would happen. I'm quite happy with what we got. I was quite surprised. Just to talk a little bit about that. That was a limited sentence. It's a very elegant back. Yeah. Thanks. This is what I'm interpreting as Nexus back there. One day I wanna get like a solid commission going for it, but cities are intense. Cities are crazy to draw, but we're just gonna have a little chill, okay? Yeah, well, there's actually, I think I checked. The number didn't sound as cool as 100 though. Like you guys went above it. Like, come on. 131 technically. 131. Yeah, so they've been being collected for 4 months now. And the initial plan was to have some things prepared. I set that as so long as I could have some of it prepared on my end, then I'm happy. So that's what we're going to have today. I have some things prepared, but I want this stream to have a more conversational tone. A cityscape. I need to practice. If I'm really going to immerse myself in a world, I better learn how to draw it. I think that would be quite nice. The energies of this stream are going to be very chill. Get your like writer hat on, you know, get your little storyteller brain on, get your little imagination going. And if you have anything else you have to do right now, there's always the VOD. So expect the low-key energy for today, okay? So with that being said, we're not accepting any more questions, but if you're on the Discord server, I don't even think you'll have immediate access, actually. If you want to ask questions, you better you better start with step 1 first and work with what you got here. Work with the questions you got here now, and go onto the Discord server if you're like 16 plus, and start work on brainstorming with a Sona or OC. Because we are storytellers. This is a community of storytellers. Well, artists, but the people who have really been in it. The people who have really been in it are also very, you know, story-oriented. So if that's kind of your vibe, if you want to get to know some creatives of that type too, then get to know us. Get to know us. This is if, again, you're new. If you're new. Yeah. When it comes to the timeline, we open this up. Let's see. Yeah, I have this little set time just to like kind of decompress, you know, get situated. This is early morning for me, okay? So my brain might not be operational. My brain chip's doing a lot of the load right now. you know. So I'm still going to be getting into it, but I do have a good chunk of time set for the lore stream. But because of the nature of creating and writing, sometimes you go into detail with some questions more than others. So you know what this could be? I have a prediction. I do have a prediction. Rather than numing through, I could imagine this being a little series. That's like quotation marks worst case. It's not really a worst case because, hey, next lore drop, next Q&A sesh. So we're not going to pressure ourselves, okay? We're going to enjoy. We're going to enjoy ourselves. We're going to go through the questions, and we're not going to feel pressured about completing them. We're just going to enjoy the ride and have stuff to look forward to potentially for another stream. So that's going to be another little expectation to set rather than like completing everything today. I will just instead make the promise that if we don't finish, we will revisit. We will get back to it, you know? And it'll be a big priority of mine. One thing I have been talking about that I will also update you all. This is basically all of the information you're going to need before we get started. We still have time for that. One thing I've been talking about recently, for a while, has been a Nexus Wiki. So I'm going to tell you a bit about what I've been working on with that as well. But I think I've decided it needs more polish. It's not done. Ah! What it needs right now is, at the moment, it's a lot of my written thoughts. But it's like so chaos right now. I've given that to co-conspirators, however, because one of their benefits is my world building drafts. So that is already available to our 2 co-conspirators. Huge shout out to you too! I plan, including our insiders as well. We have insiders, co-conspirators. I plan on... We could do that for the art stream as well. We could do that for the art stream, but I'll put it up to a vote. Basically, it's either draw some people. Maybe I'll save that for our stream. Maybe I'll save that for our stream. I think that'll be good. Yeah, so you want to be conspirizing with me. That's the word. That's the word. That's the word. You're going to be in the know with my chaos thoughts. You're going to be in the know with my chaos brain, okay? You're going to have my rough draft state, but for today's stream, we're going to have it very conversational. So what I do want to do for the sake of reference, so someone could like skip through this and make a good note, because I don't imagine the visuals changing too much. I might change things up to, if I really want to make notes on stream, I'm not opposed to that. I'm not opposed to doing that on stream, so maybe I'll change my setup as a possibility. But to make note, I have this, see how I set it up. This is something basic. I have to kind of format it a little bit. So I think we're going to have it like kind of like around here. And no stream. Yeah, I mean, I mean, it's probably going to happen, you know. I kind of see this as a little bit of an improv stream in a sort of way. Okay, I had some water. We're making a reference VOD. Let's go, reference VOD. I think, does anyone have any pre-questions before all this? I'll say this is going to be a good lead up to the stream tomorrow, which is going to be a workshop stream. I'll schedule that, and that's going to be something to look forward to. That is basically further time to like dedicate towards answering some more questions related to characters and all that. You excited? You excited? No, I'm just gonna be vibing today. That's pretty much what it is, because that's kind of how you have to be when you're spending all your little brain energies on things. Like, okay, I think we're gonna go get started. We're gonna move this over here, and we're gonna open up. You know what? I think what I want to do. I think I want to start. We're gonna start strong, okay? In the sense, I'm gonna start with some stuff I know about. And then as we ease into it, we're going to get into the unknowns. So I'm not going to go in order. Let me go open up the document. Q&A! Let's go! Does a flip. Does a flip. I'm doing a flip. Woohoo! Okay. Table of contents. Okay, so we're gonna I have just the one we're gonna start with. Actually, in this list I don't even have them numbered, so I know what I can do too, though. I know what I can do. There's a good reference. I know how to do this. We're gonna open this up too. So we're gonna do this one. This one's pretty good. What's the sound? Bum 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 bum. World of Nexus, let's go, let's go. We're opening it up right now. Backflip. But it's just like, you know, it's like one of those like, not like crappy, but you just do like a rotation thing for the emote. It just spins. Okay. So how am I going to find this? I know what to do. So we're going to do, I know just how to find this. I have a, that's the plus, okay, plus side to the wiki. I can actually search who asked the questions. Which one was it though? Was it this one? This one. Okay. What did I miss? I just did my I did my introduction to everything regarding expectations. If you're on Twitch, you have full permission to go use the rewind thing, but don't even, I would actually say don't even stress it if you miss stuff, because this is going to be made into a video. Well, not a video, a VOD. Hello, Broly. Welcome. We're just getting settled in. We're about to start the first question. I'm going to be putting them on the screen just so we can jump to them and have like a good note, because the visuals, they may vary a little bit. We'll see how it goes. We're going to keep it pretty chill. So our first question that I will be going through. How does Nexus interact with other cities? So we're going to start with this one. And we're going to copy it, okay? And we are going to still create another little note. It's going to be a little chaos right now while I create it. We're still formatting at the moment. We're going to need another little text thing for this. And we're going to... This is going to be a little insane for a second. Maybe I'll do a test, yeah. You see how, like, huge that is? Do you have to be capital lettered? No, you don't have to be capital. Okay, right. Oh yeah, that's some good visuals right there. That's some good visuals. In the world, there, there are any. Oh my god, this is gonna be some goofy formatting. There we are. Check it out, check it out. Some of these questions are a little long. This is good to know. Save. And let's improve the visibility a little bit too. So let me go do that. We'll do background opacity. Do something like that. Okay, how's that? How's that for readability? Can everyone read it? That sounds all good, right? And the volume's good as well, I take it. All right, so our first question we're going to be talking about today. Great. We're just going to roll with it. I'll probably, I'll dedicate my attention. I'm glad you like my model. How does Nexus interact with the other cities and countries of the world, if there are any? And what are the societies like outside of Nexus? And is there any communication between them? How does Nexus interact? Wait a second. My notes answered the wrong question. OMG! It's all right. So how does Nexus interact with other cities, countries of the world? So as you saw from day one, there was basically a note that Nexus is entirely isolated to the capacity that by isolation it means there's not really a lot of communication. There's very little to none trade. That's not to say that there isn't any at all, but it pretty much keeps to itself. It pretty much keeps to itself. So that's where we're going to start with. How does it interact? But there's one unique dynamic that we will probably get to cover with another question. It's not so much no communication. I'll tell you this. Everyone, all countries, all areas in the world of Nexus, they are aware of Nexus's existence, and they are actually collaborative with Nexus. As the messaging of Nexus spreads all across the world, and all of the world is informed of its utopian status. So it's something that the whole world's in on. So, but there's no communication otherwise. And why is that the case? Why is that the case? Why is that the case? It's a scheme, you see, from all the rulers of the world. All the rulers of the world, all the people who deal with managing things. Nexus has been used as... Oh no, we're going to be answering... We're going to be revisiting questions, okay? It's one big scheme, you see. Nexus is a special place that... Well, I don't really know. I don't know yet how this came to be. I don't know yet how this came to be. But Nexus is a special kind of place where all inhabitants, all ordinary people, there's only a very select few, and then it kind of spreads out, but who actually know the nature of Nexus. And basically, all people that come to Nexus, they are sent there because, for whatever reasons, their countries, their homes are, they're intentionally leaving people there, you know? Sometimes people are misled into thinking it's like a vacation. Sometimes it's like, I don't know, political people you want to get rid of without actually like arresting or anything. You just send them to this perfect place. You send them to this perfect place. So if you're going to be considering for lore for your own selves, basically any kind of place you can imagine in this world, they're trying to get rid of you, or they're misleading you in some way. And it's a whole worldwide propaganda scheme. But yourself or your Sona would likely not know that. So the main message that goes out, that is everyone in this world is told, is that there is 100% people choose to stay. Once they arrive at Nexus, they want to stay forever. Like, you just go on vacation because you're told it's such a nice place to visit. And people are always like, oh, you're probably going to want to stay there. I heard it's so nice there. So much better, you know? It's like the grass is greener on the other side. Yeah, so it's, it truly is a worldwide belief that Nexus is a utopia, but only a few are in the know about it. So that's going to be a good lead-in. And societies, when it comes to other places, I am not going to define them. I'm not going to touch the rest of the world. Just know that there are other, like, intelligent, you know, there's civilized places, there's uncivilized, or whatever proper term you would use for it. It's more of an open space for you to create creative characters. And this relates, we're going to be touching back on some of these things. So we're going to be kind of going around in a circle, okay? We're going to be going in a circle because some of these disconnect to each other, you know? So if you have like a character with a background and it doesn't fit into Nexus specifically, you're probably an outsider, you know? This is going to be relating to a future question regarding species. Other worlds have different... There is going to be flexibility for species, but people will need to be informed that it's pretty much a human, pro-human. Nexus is only pro-human, essentially. And they're, you know, provided companions for robots and stuff like that, you know? So, what does that mean? It means if you are a creature that's not human, you're probably going to have been sent to Nexus for other reasons, and you're not going to get to like integrate as easily as other humans would. And to integrate, that's probably a whole other can of worms right there. It's a whole other can of worms, but Nexus, otherwise from like things going, there's probably like people who are opposed to it too, but overall the worldwide message is pretty locked in. And like anyone who protests this would be a minority. What was I going to call? Oh yeah, when it comes to Nexus looking outwards, Nexus is one of the most... It's a pretty surveillant-like place, not only for its own circle, but also it keeps an eye on all developments happening on the outside world. Nexus is still... one of the... I will say there's flexibility for like other tech-focused locations, but the thing that makes Nexus special is that it ascended, it rapidly developed with a high-tech technology. Hello, Starbot. It had a rapid development into what it is now, and overall, all the people were compliant to it. So it's kind of, it's a speedy win. So unless the other ones speeded along as well, and it's speeded because of a specific resource, but that's kind of how that is. So there's some things, they basically like to do science with everything. They like to research, know stuff, but they're not as, they only prioritize some stuff. So they're not really competing in all areas. So say when it comes to like space travel and stuff, they're not competing with that necessarily. Like it could be the focus of other places, but they are in the know. And yeah, there's basically like a little upper circle where there's actual communication basically. So the communication between Nexus and other worlds is only the people in the know, which is a very small population, You would not be informed. Hey, Al. Hi, Al. So that's gonna be my answer for question one. Nexus basically specializes in its own thing, you know? It works on AI companions, brain implants, a lot... simulations. There's a lot of experiments going on. This is a science... This is an experimental place where everything... We'll probably touch that soon. But anyway, let's move on. That was communication. What else did I... Underground. So we got another question here. What's this all about? You're going to want to rewind, Al, for the introduction. So since you're on YouTube, if you want to know about it, I'm not gonna be revisiting that because we got a lot to cover today. So I recommend you just hop to the past and enjoy the experience, okay? Okay. Anyway, how underground works. So we're gonna copy this question next. I always have to do some formatting, so don't mind the screen. Transferring technology beyond the borders. So we already touched, we touched on the communication between Nexus and the rest of the world, which is kind of like how it's one big scheme, but otherwise all Nexus is kind of contained and isolated. When it comes to underground world, transferring technology beyond the border or creating illegal, I think this is one thing I have established that is going to impact some of y'all when it comes to lore. And I'm gonna have a little drink too. Organizations are not actually like locked and established yet. And you can kind of sense that now with the current state of how things are, you know, everyone's figuring it out. Everyone's kind of getting connected at the moment. Only now, in more recent times, which I put in the starting animation for this stream. Dun dun dun! So what I put in the start information, right? Mask wearing is new. Rebellious activity is new. I'll give some flexibility. I can say that there's possibility for people to be like well networked potentially, but this relates to the state of the underground. And so this relates also to the other thing I put in the starting soon, which is areas of the underground are still being connected together, meaning people have found pockets in the past, but communication was completely... We're starting from a really hard place when it comes to secrecy, as since the moment this city was rebuilt and restructured, everyone for like generations has been compliant to the advancements and to this new style because they've been saved, you know? They're grateful. So there's been a lot of trust initially, and only now has there been more networked activities through the discovery of safe spaces underground, which varies. You could say there was a contribution. There was a thing. What I can say is that masks became just a recent thing because of certain influencers and certain people online. It became less of this, like, why are you hiding yourself, to more of like, hey, that's kind of a cool thing. Plus other things, but you could say it's interrelated to our community here. And so anyone who's becoming a hider, which is anyone in a hideout, anyone, you know, in an organization, that's timed more accurately to the founding of this community. So you could say that's how that pieces together. So you're not going to be able to be like, oh, historically, I mean, you could do some things, it's just going to be limited. I'm not a hider. Well, I'm not using it as like a assignment. I'm just saying, like, to like a different degree, like anyone who's I'm not going to imply all of you are going to have the same storyline or anything, same place. You could still be a whole complete like Nexian, you know, different backgrounds. I'm just saying more for in a literal capacity of like going under or being a part of an organization that is kind of outside the norm of, you know. So this is not speaking, it's just like a general term I'm using in this case. Okay, what else? What was I even talking about? Yes, the underground. So transferring technology, I would say because of that fact alone, there's not international. There's no international. That's no one is at that level unless you're somehow like one of the very upper people. The very upper people. And they wouldn't be, I mean, who knows, maybe. But only them might have a little way, but that's a very small group of people and they would be in the know of things. And yep. So anyone who's working on transferring technology or whatnot, that's all in a local effort and only in spaces, because Nexus is a huge place. So that is still being established. So you're not going to have an easy time. It's a very hard thing. It's a very hard thing, actually. Just in general. It's a hard, risky thing you're doing, but hopefully in time it'll get a little easier as you get a little more networked and a little bit more understanding of what's underground, what's below. And illegal implants, yes, it is possible to be knowledgeable about how to change technology. Yes, that is my tail. That is my tail. I can show you real quick. Look at my tail! No, it's a monster! It's a monster! Okay, let's see if I can place myself. Was I here? Sort of. Let me go try that again. I think I was a little bit closer. I think I was around here. Yeah! Something like that. Whoa, 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 whoa! Okay, we're all set. It is possible to modify technology. That is the case. Okay, if you'd like, I have a redeem on Twitch specifically if you'd like to remove the ears and tail as well. Well, I mean, what do you think it would do? What do you think it would do? High tech, am I right? We're going to move on to my next prepared thing. This one's not even a complete question. I just copied it as is, though, but... Okay. We're going through everything I've prepared to. Everything I've prepared, so I'm jumping through the questions. I'm jumping through them. But we're going to revisit. We're going out of order at the moment. Is the death penalty a thing in Nexus? Is the death penalty a thing in Nexus? Oh, wouldn't you want to know that? Wouldn't you want to know? Yes! Yes! Death, however, let's talk about a cultural thing. Let's talk about a cultural thing. Death is not acknowledged or talked about much. And if it was to ever occur, it'd be kept a secret affair. It'd be kept under wraps. Like, you'd have to keep it to yourself, even if there was a good chunk of people who knew about it. Yeah, undiscussed or secret. And, I will say, like, a general thing that's going to happen to you. All bodies are repurposed for science. And that kind of ties in with the brain implants, brain chips and stuff like that. With all the information, you're probably going to be subject to some interesting experiments in your afterlife. So you're going to maybe live on. You're probably going to have a strange afterlife as a possibility. It's not going to be the case for everybody, but whatever science you can think of, there is indeed that sort of afterlife. 100% of people are donated to the cause of science and advancing Nexus's agenda. Let's go! So death penalty is less of like, oh, you're being punished, but this is like oh, you've been selected. It's like, oh, jury duty. It's kind of like jury duty. It's like, oh, guess it's time. Again, it's only as it's relevant, but that's like always like a blanket statement of what they can do. So there's no funerals. There's no funerals. There's no discussion of it. You just keep marching. And you believe in Nexus. You believe in Nexus, you know? Even if you did know about this, you would be like, that is gonna be, I'm gonna have an afterlife. I'm gonna be serving Nexus. And people, if you're a local Nexian, you're gonna be completely, like, conditioned. If you're born and raised in Nexus, a typical person's gonna be like, this is normal. I'm ready to serve my purpose. You know, I'm accepting of this. And if a family has someone go missing, they're like, that was bound to happen. That's okay. It's all in the name of Nexus. If you're a local. Yeah, this is if you're 100% local. If you're an outsider, you're probably going to feel differently. Pretty much. The other 5%, I don't know. But, you know, that also just implies that can be an afterlife, too. If somehow you escaped Nexus, there's probably a way you can re-alive yourselves, though. So, in the say the format of just entering another form, so long as you have your data backed up, or you have your main chip or something, you can probably reboot yourself. Hi, welcome, Lou. Welcome. Have another sip. Yeah. Isn't that a fun fact, everyone? Doesn't that make you happy? Doesn't that make you feel good on the inside? Yeah. Are there graveyards? I think. What's there graveyards? There'd probably, like, technically be graveyards. It's just inaccessible ones. Mourning is not a practice, really. I mean, you could definitely feel it, but it's like, you're going to have to suppress that stuff. You're going to have to suppress it, because it's probably still a feeling you're going to feel, but it's definitely keep it to yourself sort of deal. Just forget. They could make you forget if it helps. That's a service they might provide. It's like, hey, they can help you forget. Oh, wouldn't you like to forget? Okay, what have I prepared next? Okay, this is a relevant one to everyone. What races are in the world of Nexus? Hey, let's clarify who I am. You're not late. You could hop on any time you want of football. Let's clarify something here. I love dark psychological horror. We're going to be... These dark themes are indeed possible to elaborate further on for this world. You don't have to, of course, but there's a lot of scenarios. You know, I was watching The Matrix recently. You know, it all goes back. I mean, everyone's already aware of it. It's like the basic red pill, blue pill sort of thing. You can live in complete bliss and just ignore all of that and live a happy utopian life. Live a happy life. Just ignore all those bad things. Live a good life. And you're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. It's going to take a lot of work, though. The psyche damage is real. Just keep eating your blue pills, okay? Just keep eating your blue pills. Keep on eating, chug them, chug them. Blue is tasty. Because Nexus is a utopia. Nexus is a utopia. Just hold that straight to your heart. That's why everyone really wants to buy into it, too, because what's the alternative? What's the alternative, huh? What, you're going to not believe Nexus in utopia? What? That'd be silly. Do you understand how much psychic damage you would have if you didn't believe? You have to hold on. Okay. Enough nefariousness. What are the races of the world of Nexus? And this was expanded on. You know what? I really wanted to. It's going to be included. We're going to have a. Maybe at the very end, I'll go through the questions. I mean, maybe you'll get it when you get the wiki. But I did label who asked what, so. Yeah, don't worry. This is a reference point. This is a reference. What are the races? So this was also expanded to say for everything that was this was the list that was provided with it, right? It's Nexian/humans, robot assistants, avatars, human-like creatures of the void, animal-like furries. What are the races of the world of Nexus? Let's see. I'm gonna review my notes real quick. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so I think I have like a main guideline. So I already clarified this. Nexus specifically in like the whole like upper crust world of above that, like built upon the old destroyed city, right? Everyone above there living in their happy blue pill bubble, right? We just keep on rolling with that little reference right there. Everyone there is human. Either human, and above there is going to be AI companions. There's going to be AI companions, which can have holographic or robotic forms. And there's going to be avatars, which legally, you're only ever going to see them being piloted. You know, like you're going to get your mind connected to an avatar, but you can't use it forever, you know? So what this means is, no, yeah, it's a hard life in Nexus, okay? It's gonna be a hard life for y'all, sorry. There's gonna be humans, robots, avatars, and the avatars, if you can avoid, I think there's a possibility you can avoid. You'll still have to be stealth mode, but avatars are gonna be your way to kind of be in the upper world, but you gotta be cautious because I think what would happen is there's gonna be, this is going to be an interesting thing I want to talk about later, but people can be assigned to various roles, and even not just like a main job, but tasks. So think about like, let's imagine Stardew Valley actually. You know how you get like a list of quests to the side to complete? Sure, your main job's the farmer. We're making a little analogy here. Sure, your main job is being the farmer, but then on like your little thing, you get pop-ups for other quests you can complete. It's kind of embedded in everyone. So life's a little game-like in that sense, where you're going to get assigned a task to do, and you're going to want to do it for a certain benefit. And it's also just cultural. You're just going to want to do it because it's the right thing to do, which is follow those recommendations. So people can actually be assigned to, and be probably granted permission to check in with, like surrounding areas, to be checking in, and be provided the tools and permissions to like potentially scan. So basically everyone could be like a window of everyone. It's not just like a clear, like that's the police, oh that's the anyone. They're probably not going to know what it's all about, but they can be kind of basically not so much possessed, but like very easily influenced to do something and check something. So everyone's kind of like eyes everywhere, you know? The house. Yeah, for someone he's out of the house. Yeah, pretty much like, so everyone's in stealth mode. So even if you're using an avatar, hey, welcome, Serial. It's hard in Nexus, I swear, but at the same time, in that same vein, this is not to say that you should only have, this is not to say that, there's gonna be storyline possibilities for, you know, I actually think that was kind of cool. One person who's joined our community suggested the idea that people could have been, there could have been like people who survived and were like trapped underground and started their own little circle of things. You know, I think that's a possibility we can explore. There's also like outsiders, but there's also, think about this, there's also going to be, I mean, it's not going to be an easy life, but there's also facilities. There's one primary one, but there's also like one at the core, and there's probably different little areas as well, because as a science-focused place, I think there's going to be a lot more flexibility. I would say you could either have your origin story be, say, you're an outsider coming in and you're of a different species or whatever. You're not going to have an easy life, and you're probably going to be redirected to one of those experimental facilities, potentially. Or you're going to be from an experimental facility. Maybe you're created in one. Maybe you're created in a lab. So you can either be created there and not even know about Nexus all that much. So you're going to have a bit, basically, like a story. Yeah, sorry. You're going to have a hard life. Sorry. Did you know it's still full of water? Wait. Oh, that's true. It wouldn't all be bad. So, you know, you can make a happy experiment. You know how I imagine it? Yeah, this is a checkpoint for everyone. This is a good checkpoint. You know, hey, it's kind of like, you know that anime called, what was it called? Beyond Promise Neverland. Promise Neverland. Think about it like Promise Neverland. You could have a facility where you have you could have an idyllic state. You know, you could live like, oh, this is like a safe space for creatures, a safe space for other species, right? But you're gonna be surrounded by a great unknown, basically. And if you go venture out, your character's probably going to get mind blown if they're from or originating. So they're going to either be shocked like that, or they're going to be shocked coming in from the outside, from a way better life or something like that, right? So you have two directions there. What number? I wasn't keeping track of numbers. You know, maybe if you use the search tool, how about this? Maybe a moderator would be down. If you use the search tool in in that thread, you can find the number, I think. Right now, I'm using my notes at the moment. You'll be able to find that information. Did I say hi yet? Hello, Moonflames. And alright, see you soon, football. Is the volume good too? I should have asked this again, but I hope it's not too loud. So you can find out which number it is. Right now, I'm going off my notes at the moment. So we're gonna be bouncing. I'm doing my I'm doing the ones I prepared, and then we're gonna be at the rest of the session we're gonna be talking, okay? Number 38, cool. So yeah, those are two possibilities. Plus you can I would say I would allow for an isolated group to be living underground. And just like surviving, you know. Maybe aware of the upper world, but maybe not. I would allow that. I would additionally even say, this is going to be a weird anime, okay? This is going to be a weird anime. I do really like it, but it's also kind of weird and problematic in other ways. But the concept, the core concept, I would say that there's a degree to that. Not completely. What I mean to say is, you know the anime Made in Abyss, where if you want to do some exploration, because we can't really travel to outer worlds, or because you can't leave Nexus, or at least I will never explore outside of Nexus at this stage, at least, we could instead expand our explorations downwards. What that implies is we're going to be a bit of a mystery, but we can say we're going to leave the underground further depths. But at the moment, everyone who's like wanting to be somewhat normal and connected with things, you're still going to be barely like kind of entering or maybe having access to some spaces, like just basic sewers, abandoned structures underground, you know. But it'll probably even go deeper, I think. This is a light inspiration. All right. Hello, Tulits. Welcome. All right. Goodbye, Gremlin. Yeah. What's our next prepared one? Items made by natural materials. Whoops, not that one. This one. right, so our next question. Is there any items made by natural materials, like books, pencils, or is everything digital? I'm gonna review my notes real quick. Yeah. Basically, what I said was, most items are tech-based to a degree. Natural materials are a rarity due to regulations in place by Nexus. Yeah, so I think this is what it is. Everyone, it's like a standardized practice where everyone, yeah. It's a standardized practice where everyone's given the tools, the tech they need to kind of interface with whatever they need. And there's flexibility, but it's usually all tech-based in the sense there's still tablets, there's still phones, there's still computers of a physical degree. There's an add-on feature where you can use your AR lenses or like eye implants where you can look at it and have a hologram appear from it. There's also 100% hologram-based tech that you can... That's how the tech works for that is there's permissions you can set with your AR lenses to display stuff only to yourself, to display it to a group, or you know, just kind of like that. My Buddhist tech. You will not be able to submit a question. I will be not. I mean, you can add. Actually, wait. Are you once our character verification happens, I think we'll start opening up the area once again. I think. But yeah, we're going to be running through. If you have any more questions, what do we do if we have more questions? I'm just going to say I'm not accepting any more questions at this point. We already have a lot. Oh, thank you for the compliment too, Frenchie. We're having ourselves a little bit of a deep sesh. Meow, meow. Meow, meow, meow. Yeah. So everyone's provided with that, and in the AR lenses, you can have options. So like, say you want to display just your AI companion in a holographic form, and only you can see it. That's possible. Or you get these devices, and you know you can optionally just not use that, and just you can still use screen tablets, phones, stuff like that. That still exists in this world, but you can also like with your like tech, with your brain implants and your little ear add-ons, you know, for like hearing and stuff like that, right? You could still like do like basically like the little telepathy in a way, like a call. So it's kind of like a, I would say it's kind of still like Cyberpunk Edge Runners to that degree. It's like it's I would say that's still inspired by Cyberpunk Edge Runners in that you'll probably have like an AI generated voice. Oh, that's like a whole other thing I've considered. You could keep it like private, but you can also give your permission to like use it. Or actually, I don't know, I have to revisit that because I'm pretty sure if everything's getting repurposed potentially, I wonder if there's any clauses about in your afterlife. You'd be like, yeah, we can use your voice. So you can send messages basically with your own voice or a different voice, which would be kind of funky, I think. I think there's ways you can, just like that happened in Cyberpunk Edge Runners actually. You could, it's still possible to kind of get tricked into who you're talking with if you're getting one of those like brain messages, but you can still do other things, you know. That's just one option. I would say we're not going to go in that direction. We're taking inspiration, but we're kind of building our own sci-fi world separate, but we can't take inspirations. Yeah, we have a whole list. It's wild. Yeah, we'll keep to we had to make our own terms, you know. We have to make our own culture. Okay. But so resuming the question, that's what everyone's provided with. But privileged individuals, because of course, in this world, it's actually, this is a whole other question, but in this world, it's actually in good practice to see each other as equals, at least on the surface. Like, we're all one. Like, so if anything's ever unfair, you're supposed to be like, we're all the same. You know, we're, you know, this is fair. We're all one, you know? But there is like classes. They're just not spoken of. And it's a little different. It's not really money based. It could be, I mean, that's like a source. That could be like one means of it. But it's more of like a favorable algorithm due to, say, like your family line, for example, where somehow you're just given more access to things. So some people are connected with additional, I guess you could say, like hobbies and tools that they can use at home, so they can still like enjoy that. And there's what's a better practice actually. So rather than ownership over all this, Nexus has an established thing where because it's regulated, not everyone has it. What they have instead in place is they have locations. So like public spaces, public venues, rooms, buildings where certain activities are permitted and all the resources are provided to enjoy that activity. But they cost I'll talk about the currency some more, but they do cost technically, but it's I'll tell you about the system. It's interesting. It's like someone made a human version of it was a good guess though. I don't even know who that is. So basically people need permits to kind of engage with these interests. So there is like conservation essentially of certain materials, but they are made in a way accessible to people, just not owned. You don't really own it. You go to places with it. And there's a lot of different establishments. It's not just for this, but in general, for a lot of different interests, you kind of go somewhere to do it and you redeem it essentially. And yeah, so there's a lot of, you could say in that way, this is a very, Nexus is very, like, you know how in modern times, at least it feels like there's like, oh, only libraries are public spaces, and it's sort of, sometimes it feels like that way, you know, like where everything costs. I mean, it still costs in a way. It still does cost, but I'll tell you about it more. Yeah, no, you'll like to redeem the chance to go touch a tree in this one specific space. Yeah, because yeah, there's a lot of things we gotta think about. There's a lot of things. I wonder what question that is. That'd be fun to check in. That would be fun to check in with. What was I thinking about? Yeah, it's you know what? I kind of compare it. Maybe we should hop to that question. Maybe I should like, can I pin this, or maybe I duplicate this? I'll duplicate this tab. Maybe we can hop to that question. I'm gonna see if I can find it. So that's food. Use that. We're gonna talk about it because I think it's interesting. Not that one. Ooh, cultural taboos is a fun one. Yeah, okay. Yeah, we're gonna cover this next section since it kind of relates to resources and like access to resources. No, okay. Let's clarify that, Pastor Pug. Nexus does still have a. It's not visually like filth dystopia. There's like some areas where you can say it's more typical cyberpunk where you don't see any of that. But in this Nexus, it's actually pretty. Especially in like I think it's the east side of it, especially. But even the core, there's still grass. There's still walk space. There's still trees. There's still parks. That's still there. Tree lottery, buy a tree. If you touch a tree. Yeah, you're just not going to have permission to chop it down or anything. Yeah, there's nice areas. But there's also typical, like, oh, that's not as nice, but that's only a small chunk, actually. But, okay, I'm going to write down this question since it kind of ties into that. I think it'd be fun to jump to it. Okay, so this question, does tax exist? If so, is it handled primarily by man or AI? Okay, this one, I was actually kind of interested in this one because it made me think about the currency. Can you pick it up? You know, technically, I think it's going to be one of those illegal things that you probably should not take things. But it's not like a severe crime, like whatever, you know. It's like one of those like rules. It's like you shouldn't do that, but you know, at least at a certain extent. If you have a problem with hoarding tree branches, you're probably going to get in trouble. No. One time you touched a tree, you become a crime doer. Certified tax evader. Uh-oh, the restaurant. Okay. Should I read this one? You know, I'm gonna just read this one because it's interesting. I'm gonna read my note on this one, okay? So, yes, it exists as cores. So there's a currency called cores, and there's a currency called merit coin, and I'll tell you about them. So the cores, they have a physical form and have more lasting value. The tax rate is high for this specific currency. What remains untaxed is virtual currencies, like merit coin. So there's cores and merit coin. Sure. Cores. But with the spacing. So merit coin is like capital M, capital C. Yeah. With virtual currencies like merit coin, which mostly has social value as it's used primarily for necessities by the ordinary person. Taxes are automatically accounted for through an AI system, though it's possible to legally opt out to work with a human service. AI assistant would then just aid in documenting purchases for the client and in calculating and documenting for those employed by handling taxes. People are expected to be on top of this as tax evasion is a serious crime, which may provide the grounds for erasure. Oh, you know that term I threw around? Erasure. We're going to talk about that. Because of this, most ordinary humans tend to stick to automatic calculations and withdrawals. Taxes do calculate differently. Individuals are taxed differently than established and adult family units are. Individuals and families are taxed differently from businesses and organizations. All core income is subject to taxation. For criminal groups that run established businesses on the surface, it's safer to actually still file for taxes. Just with lenient human tax services. So you find like an establishment with a human who is kind of in the know and is lenient, but you still do it. Do your taxes. Finance class. Yep. Ooh, finance class. Okay. Just the government ultimately has reason to acquire more financial power, thus it can allow space for businesses that generate significant revenue. So if you're a successful business, you can, you know, the government might even look away. The government might even look away if you're generating a good amount of income. If anything can get pinned on a business, though, they're willing to close it down and hunt down those involved. So if you don't walk that fine line, you can just, all that can just go away. Look, Nexus, that's kind of the system with the cores. They want the cores, but I think we had another one. Where's you know, it's an interesting one, isn't it? I wanted to find where's where sandals areas outside. Little radios, VPNs. I have so much stuff written down. Yeah. Oh man, the core system even has like, you know, like how the reserves go to, you know how like, oh man, I researched money for this. I researched money. You know how there's like a reserve in with some things where it's like, oh, it's based off like the gold in the bank or something like that. You know, something like that. There is like a source of where the value comes from for like a guaranteed where this is. There is a source. There is like an actual associated source for what makes cores valuable. Yeah, there's a... I forgot like the proper term, like the reserves or whatever, right? We're talking about money now. We're talking about the money. So it's based off... So I don't know if I want to think of another term for it, but It's based off the energy stored within Ethereum batteries, which, you know, hopefully we'll get the time to talk about here too. But, yeah, battery can be assigned a specific energy value based on its capacity and efficiency, and establishing a common unit of measuring for cores. So there's like batteries basically of an energy source that is specific to Nexus. Yeah. As a buyer, yep. What else? There is an exchange rate. There's an exchange rate. Yeah, it's based off the juice. It's the juice reserves. It's the juice reserves. So core prices can fluctuate. There is like a fluctuation of like value of cores. OMG, we're getting into it. Oh man, we're getting into it. So it depends on the supply and demand for energy, technological advancements, and the economic conditions of Nexus. The factors: core valuation, core fluctuation. Ah! What about the IRS? There's probably Nexus IRS. They're out to get you. I really got to turn off that extension alert thing, but we're gonna not mind for now. Anything else I want to talk about for that? Yeah, it's become increasingly essential for powering Next City's infrastructure, transportation, and communication networks. The demand for cores would likely rise, driving up their value. So, like, a limited, basically, cores have, like, a limited amount. Like, for, like, saying, like, a few, like, say 5 cores is a lot, versus merit coin, which is, more like game currency. You know, it kind of inflates really high. Yeah, they are after you. They are. Oh, I had a lot of notes on that. Oh, I even had, you know what I even had in my notes? I even had 2 scenarios. I even did like some case studies on, oh my god, I even did I was getting into it. I did case studies on 2 different scenarios of like your I could do a financial analysis. I don't think I'll cover that though, but I got into it. All right, see you later, Crimson. Bye. Thank you for stopping by. I even had notes on that. Okay. I'm trying to scroll through it. Did we have the notes on a merit coin? Oh yeah, with energy crisis, if there was something bad that happened, oh, it's not gonna economy. I'll have that in the wiki, okay? I'll have all those in the wiki. I even had like, yeah. In the face of rising core prices, right? Ordinary people would still be relying on merit coins. So, you know what? I have, oh yeah, there's gonna be a wiki. I wished I could release it, but I just did it for co-conspirators for now. It's in my draft state, but it's gonna be more searchable, more like, you can jump around and see the connections. But, okay, I'll tell you what I know about, listen for any children. Taxes are bad. No. You know what I compare merit coin to? I compare merit coin to, I wanted to find the notes for it, but I'm just gonna not worry about it. I'll tell you about it. Merit coin, virtual currency. It is a currency for based around, it's made for necessities. It's made for necessities. So, you know how I see it? I see Nexus as a little bit like Animal Crossing to a degree, now that I've experienced that, right? Basically, as you do tasks... Hey, welcome back! As you do tasks, you are rewarded with merit coin. And merit coin is typically spent on things like food, housing. Housing is actually... everyone's guaranteed to a home. There's a 100% no homeless rate in Nexus, but we kind of know a little bit why. But yeah, so all of your needs, if you're like living a good Nexus life, this is only for, you know how this is not going to apply to everyone, but if you're Cryptocurrency. Oh no, Merit coin! I didn't even really think about, I didn't research into that, but yeah, it's a virtual currency. Virtual currency guarantees all basic needs, is automatically assigned based off like created tasks, especially those that are dished out from the top, you know? There is still like, here's what it is, like say for a house, right? Say for a house you live in, sure, you got it given it, like you're assigned your living space, right? But if you don't make the minimum threshold of like merit coin and you're not contributing to society, bad things. But it's usually pretty doable. It's just like doing like tasks and you're like, I don't know what's going on, but I'm doing it. Yeah, we're going to talk about that. That's a part of it as well. People are allowed to have family units. People are allowed to have not just family units, but there's different possibilities for arrangements. Bad things are probably going to happen if you're not working a part of the system. Sorry. Bad things. Bad things. But merit coin is an accepted form of currency for many places, not all places though. Some only allow cores. But the one thing to know about merit coin is that it's only something that's like if you're in the system, you know? So if you ever decide to get off the system, you're not going to have access to that resource anymore. So that's kind of like a reward. Meaning if you're off the system, which can be good for some things, but it means you're going to have to deal with core more often, which can be hard. Due to its like value and like acquisition and then spending and resources, you know? Yeah, pretty much like a little welfare. There is a good welfare system, pretty much. What else do I have to say about merit coin? Oh, there's different versions. There's you know, kind of like I kind of see it like open source to a degree, meaning from like the same, say, coding, from the same network, established like legal, like big corpo experimental facilities, organizations, they can actually, CEOs, you know, they can duplicate merit coin and have their own system, meaning there can exist many virtual currencies. Merit coin is specifically more of the citizens' currency for like the basic needs for all things related to Nexus, right? But if you work at a place, they can basically duplicate their own currency and you can kind of get trapped a little bit. You know, like where it's like, oh, you can only... And so there's kind of a competition among organizations at times where, like the goal of a virtual currency is to kind of rise as a popular currency because then they make their own little loops. So it's, you know, it's kind of not fun, but so they can create their own customized like tasks for you that get sent to you, you know, kind of like how I said you get assigned tasks from Nexus. You can get assigned tasks from your place of work, for example, or your even a facility. Say you are like in an experimental facility and say you're just living your life, even though you're not connected to all of Nexus, you might have your own currency system where you get redeems on like basic things, you know, like it's smaller scale, but you can still be assigned. It's still a reward system, even within a facility, if it's like, especially like... Bitcoin! No. Used to rob banks since those are really fun. I think it's possible to do theft of cores. Virtual currency... I don't know about that. I haven't thought about that. Bean coin. Yeah, so basically, even if like Nexus ever entered like a recession regarding like if there was ever a plummeting value of cores, no one would ever suffer in terms of like basic needs is the main takeaway. Only, of course, if you're a part of the system. You're kind of out for yourself if you ever decide to 100% opt out. So sometimes people benefit from having connections who would be willing to keep their slate clean. But you have to be careful. Literally just beans. Anything else I want to say about that? think that's pretty good. Maybe we'll hop back to this one. Fitting digital. Okay, does the food... Let's move away from the money talk. Let's move away from the money talk. Let's talk about the most important question. Just kidding. Does the food bang in Nexus? Surprisingly, a lot of them... I wrote about it. Very important question. Let me have a sip of water, too. Egg coin, hell yeah. But does it? Oh, yes. Yeah, so what I had here... There's gonna be, what you call it? We need to know. Can I eat rocks? I mean, depends on your species, I guess. Are we gonna get an exam on this? An exam? An exam? Just came here. Does the food bang in Nexus? There's a lot to this. Oh my gosh, it's so much. Everything's connected. This is gonna go back to the whole unit thing. OMG, I have to talk about that too. Okay. There are numerous small businesses that create quality local foods that stand out. It can be a little less wild. So there's two things, basically. There's quality, which I'm going to say the word artisan, but quality service. There's quality, right? And then there's standardized. Standard is fundamentals, like the core of what needs you have. The basics. It's a basic thing. That's going to be covered 100% by merit coin. All businesses in Nexus, they usually, some opt in to accept merit coin, some allow for cores, but at the very least, standard food is purchasable by the merit coin, as mentioned. And yeah, Nexus government and they have like approved outlets for various staples and experimental food. So there's also, they might dish out experimental food too. So if you're redeeming stuff with your merit coin that you got from doing a few tasks, right? You might get standard food, but you might also get experimental food. Woo! How fun! Surprise food. I love surprise food. Surprise food's fun. We all love surprise food and not knowing what's in our meals. Isn't that fun? Isn't that fun? Yeah. So it could be bare bones or it could be more. And there are high qualities but might be in more limited supply. And if it's like a really high quality sort of thing, they might just have to like sustain their business through cores. So you might not even have access to that. Mystery media. Yeah. Food purchases. Oh yeah, that's something else. Well, let's just talk about the food. So basically, businesses can acquire quality resources. Nexus, when it comes to like normal foods, the best food is going to be, they're right by an ocean. So it's going to be seafood based. There's small facilities that create high quality, fruits, vegetables, things like that. But often, like, the biggest suppliers, like, even, you know what? I don't even think, like, not all a lot of places are going to be subject to some science food, okay? There's going to be, like, growing meat, probably. You know, that's a thing in real life, too. But, like, they're growing this, growing that in a more different environment, so you can still have that kind of thing going on. Yeah, so people can still get like, it can still be normal, like experiment science food can still be normal to Nexus standards. So that's an option. And finally, the more rare exports come from to the west and beyond, there is one town that no one really talks about, thinks about, some people know about, but there is a farm town with a lot more other food items, but of course those are going to be a marked up sort of deal. So most of the time you're going to be getting stuff from the sea, or stuff grown in a lab, or like really science food. There's like a scale of, basically it's a scale of science. You know, how scientific are we getting here? Are we getting like, oh, we've somehow managed to grow our own version of corn, yeah, corn, and it's just like, it's just corn, but they did it, you know, or even just like little small areas in Nexus that supply normal stuff, or they start growing things which is still normal, and then you go all the way over here and it's just like, oh, that's completely science food right there. It's like, oh yeah, it gives you the nutrients. Sometimes it looks appetizing, sometimes not. It's just complete science. So I'll let creative flexibility for what your science food is. Okay. Competitive bids. Are you heading out? Heading out? Well, if you have to go, that's alright. It's alright. This will be a VOD if anyone is interested as a reference. But yes, I also made notes on food purchases. So, basics are always sent through a smart home that an AI assistant is connected to. So all homes in Nexus, well, most homes, especially upper Nexus, anywhere, I would say there's some areas. I would say there's some areas that might not be connected as a smart home specifically. But yeah, AI assistants kind of interface with an AI, like a smart home basically. So, so requests are sent and a number of items are run out. A smart home would basically run it by a catalog provided by Nexus online for what's available. Preferences are then considered from the user, something that was a part of the setup process for food tracking. An order would be created and a user would have a limited access and make adjustments to before it's automatically approved and funds are extracted. So basically, the typical system here is there's not really grocery stores in Nexus. There's like basically like packing, like there's like little hubs, little places where all resources are pooled and packaged and delivered to the home directly. And there's like a detecting system inside homes that says when you're low on stuff and what they can do, what substitutes will be there. So basically your fridge would get filled, or like there'd be like a little drop-off cooled space where you can pick up your stuff, right? Some separated by freezed goods and refrigerated goods. Yeah, pretty much it's like all Uber Eats. Yeah, it delivers. There's no contact. If anything else, it is possible to get like an airdrop sort of deal for deliveries, but it does deliver into your home, and probably like a little Dropbox sort of thing of different seconds. So they section it up. They already consider your health needs. They consider your health needs, but they also consider their supplies of resources. They give you substitutes, and depending on like your specifications, they might just mix an experimental food in there too. If you're like redeeming it through merit coin, if you have that system set up, they'll only give you like experimental foods or basic nutrients. That could be a factor of consideration, yeah. So basically, however much willing you're ready to spend on groceries and rare goods, you can have access to favorite foods, but it's just going to cost you more, you know? So you'll probably have to either do more tasks, maybe if you can somehow redeem a good item from a lot of merit coin, or if you go the other way around and spend a lot of cores on your resources. So some people, but that's just one system. I think same with how, you know how I said how merit coin can be a duplicated model of currency? Corporations also have access to this system, so some companies may have access to like storages of different types of food that they've managed because of whatever business they do or whatever connections they have. So like by working here, you get the benefit of having cheese! That's right, cheese! You know what I mean? So it's kind of based off where you work, what tasks you're doing, and there's specific supplies, you know. Cheese! What? Where's the cows at? Where's the cows? No. Yes. So it's like a fulfillment center for food, so they assemble it all for you. What's the cow? Make... I think, speaking of that, I think fake meat would be a big thing, but I think there's a possibility for I honestly feel like fake meat would be the standard, aside from like seafood, unless you're kind of connected and then you get to... I think that's kind of how that is. Where are they getting this cheese? Yeah. Okay. And they have different distributors, and they ensure different quality packaging and presentation. Sometimes they create meal boxes featuring digitally attached recipes to follow. So this is also like one of those meal packaging. You could set your preferences. So if you want to be more chef vibes, you can get all of your ingredients like pre-assembled essentially, or you know, like here's the recipe, follow this recipe. You can have fun. Here, a fun activity. Woo! Woo, fun activity. Or you can just have it like, you know, TV dinner vibe, you know, except it could be high quality as well. Work with the cheese corp. Where's the cheese? Okay. Specialized deliveries, yep. They work collaboratively. So humans and AI assistants work collaborative to work on producing, packaging, and delivering groceries. So that's a job, you know. That's a good decent. You're providing value job. Yeah, little shoots cost different amounts. Yep. But that's not to say that's like basics, but there's also in Nexus. I already told you about, you know how like everything is, you know how I told you how some resources are connected to other outlets, like other places, venues, spaces, all that stuff, right? So people are kind of incentivized to still leave the home in their free time. Like that's still like a thing that's kind of encouraged. They can still like leave and do that. And then around those areas is oftentimes other businesses, which it might be like, you know, family owned or owned by something else. So there's like such thing as small businesses still. There's also like other outlets in general for just like different sponsors and stuff like that. So you can still go to an area and there's still gonna be like food accessible. Oh, Spacey, welcome. Shh. Okay. What do I want to answer next? What do I want to answer next? Adoption's an interesting one. Elections. Yeah, why don't we talk about elections? Why don't we talk about elections? Hello. We're going through all the questions right now. If you ever miss anything or if you're interested in hearing more, this is going to be contained within a VOD, so don't even stress it if you don't know what's going on. I had a whole introduction at the very start of this VOD if you want to know what's happening. Okay. Was it this one? And yeah, that was it. That was it. This was more of like a, I think I prompted y'all. So this was basically more about like, what are the Nexus elections, right? How you play into this world. Well, I haven't really talked about my story much. Anyway. And if you're ever confused, I do have like a little, my little intro. If I take a break, maybe I'll play it. At the start of my streams, I'll be playing some stuff with snippets of the lore, and then as you get to know the community and everything like that, it'll start making a little more sense. Right now, this is more of a reference sort of stream to become a VOD. So you're not really, if you're kind of lost, you can either stick around for the ride or you can revisit it when you kind of get an idea. But this is basically a good reference kind of creation thing we're making right now. Oh, thank you! Thank you! I'm glad you like it, Spacey! So, elections. So what I'm going to say about this is that there's still a practice of speculation. So, in Nexus, one of the main things that happens to everyone is they get assigned positions in life for things to do. And people are like typically it's like, oh, you could become anything, you know, if you just like especially like as you're early and you're getting like basically assisted by your AI, where it starts like learning about your preferences. It's also like collecting like your preferences of your family, the preferences of your area you live in, the preferences of your school type. So there's a bunch of factors, and then there's the main one, which is like Nexus, like what's the supply and demand, right? but it's also hugely based on family line. It's hugely based on family line. So if you're a part of a family that's known to do some kind of specific industry or field, you have a higher probability of ending up in that sort of field. And so when it comes to elections, because this is kind of like for the people in the know and the people who pay attention to this sort of thing, they know that it's going to likely come from a prominent family, that's known to consistently have people enter like political positions. Yeah, nepotism. I love nepotism. It's totally fair. Anyone could become this. That's like the standard. So whatever you are, you're likely to become what you were. And that's kind of, there is like reason to like, there's reason to like say it's like, hey, this is unfair. This is not right, right? There's still there's a space to do that. There's also a lottery that you can enter, or like a raffle of sorts, where you can have a rare opportunity to actually change this assigned thing. But typically people go with what they're assigned with, and the AI is always right. And you don't understand how much weight they put into this system, because this system is their everything. Everyone puts their... You know how I like to think about it as? You know how I like to think about it? I like to think about it like a character. I like to think about it like a specific character. This whole system can be represented by a character, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, then whatevs. I like to compare the system to Garnet from Steven Universe. How is this connection? Look, it's just a comparison, okay? Just to help understand why people put so much weight into their assignments, like from top to bottom. How does Garnet from Steven Universe connect? Well, Garnet, you see, has the power to see the future. But the future depends on things playing out as they are, you know? And so if you do something completely different, your future is not going to be guaranteed. And everyone in Nexus, from top to bottom, wants to guarantee their future. So long as you follow all the rules, so long as you do this, you're going to have a good life. At least the people who have that privilege to do that, you know? Because there's people who just don't even have that opportunity at all. So what does that mean? Basically, people don't want to affect that future prediction that's going to lead them to perfection, right? Everyone's striving, or at least that's what everyone's been made to believe, right? Is in perfection, in achieving, like attaining self-actualization by being your best self that you can possibly be in this world, right? Or giving your family the best opportunity, or your generations after you the best opportunity. So you play with the algorithm, you do as you're told, because it's going to guarantee you more privileges as you inch towards something improved, right? During Discord, making a character, yeah, pretty much. Yeah, so it's this one huge algorithm that everyone's in on, and it's only in Nexus, of course. It's a contained system and that's why, so it can be kind of superstitious to some degree. There is like an actual part, but there's also, you could say it is religious. Honestly, I could say Nexus is just like one giant city cult, you know? That's just kind of what it is. All hail the algorithm. Oh no. Not the algorithm. No, stop it. No. That's pretty much how it is though. So you just keep on staying in your lane. Stay in your lane and then it's gonna work out, right? Oh, yay. And don't like interfere. It's also the same rule. We're gonna talk about like taboos. Maybe it'll be a fun one to cover next. We'll cover taboos. But yeah. Pretty much, but let's just go loop back to the election thing. So everything's pretty much predetermined, or everyone does all they can to ensure it's predetermined, to let it just run the system perfectly. Don't interfere with it, or else you're going to mess up all of Nexus, right? So people are very, from everything they've learned, everything they want the good things, you know. So they trust that, but they also trust like the family lines. Well, if those in the know, at least there's such thing as like an illiteracy to politics. There's still that in this world, where people are like, oh yeah, anyone can become this. There's people who believe that anyone can become this. There are educated people who know different. So there's people who have a range of understanding of the politics. So the people who know, they know there's like there's a good common point, you know. So when it comes to that, people like to say like upper class, even though there's no classes in Nexus. There's no classism. There's no nepotism. There's none of that. Oh my, and just wink. It's kind of like that, but yeah, I would say the upper people like to kind of guess. They like to gamble on that sort of thing, because it is kind of like, who is it going to be? There is like limited candidates. They're not like all necessarily listed out, but there's people putting their bets. It's still possible to put bets on people, actually. It's like, who am I betting on? Not a Nexus. No, this is a utopia. Utopia. It's not. This isn't utopia. Yeah. So that's kind of that. What else would I say about it? Yeah. So people speculate. It does still enter social media. It does still enter broadcasted stuff. It does like enter, you know, like with the hologram thing I was telling you about. There's still like broadcasts you can tune in. You know, this is like, imagine Nexus like this. This is a whole other thing too. Like imagine Nexus. It's like a good city. It's like a city, right? It has like its layout and a lot of stuff. People can tune and shift their AR lenses to have different filters of the city. So there's different views, and they display different things. So you can, you could optionally just like tune into news AR land, you know, and you're going to see everywhere. You can put a scale to it where how close by. So you could literally scale it in, look off, and have like a hologram projecting the news. Or you can scale out and have like, imagine like city with all those advertisement, like holograms, all that. You can like scale to that and change the channel with the whole world. So you can change channels with the world and scale it. You could see the whole world as one thing, or you can see just one section. And so you can engage with the news at any point. So it's not turning on the TV to watch this news. It's literally just like turning on your AR lenses, and it interfaces with like a little ear implant you have to inbuilt to you. So you have basically like channels you can do. Yeah, and if you don't have like AR lenses, you can have like eye replacements. You can have ear audit. You can have all that being replaced. You can have all that being replaced. So if you could change channels with your mind and vision and all that stuff. You could just tune in auditorily. You could just start hearing things. If you wanted to change a channel, you could just hear things. So you're like, yeah, you could go to like different like entertainment zones of like channels. You could do a lot of different things basically. Looks so good. Thank you. It starts writing all crazy. I don't know. Maybe I should mix up my little idea. I could do arm. You can. Still like my tablet. I mean, let's switch it up a little bit. Look. I mean, I kind of like the pen. It makes me feel like I'm writing notes or something. But you know, speaking of which, I actually need to be right back. I'll be right back. I think this would be a good opportunity to play that BRB. You can see some facts there too. But I'm gonna take a little quick break. Super quick. Super quick. Okay. Super quick. BRB. Be really quick. Hi. Okay. How about we, do you have another good song to play? How about this one? Sure. I heard a redeem. I heard a redeem for a dog cult. Fine. Dog pit! Vomits. Joking. Yes. You know, it wouldn't be like, you wouldn't say like 15, just gonna do a little thing. I mean, 15 merit coin is like, that's like pennies below pennies. You gotta consider the inflation for merit coin. If you're talking about merit coin, you want to throw out the big numbers. Just, it's one of those janky currencies with the high, unless you're literally trading that little. Just a fun detail. So usually cores would be seen in small numbers, but then again, you could just say, oh, I'm a core. You have a lot of, wow, like just small quantities, just like, I'm rich. Yep, there you go. Just kidding, you could literally be trading trash, little pocket lint. That's basically what that is. Here's my pocket lint. So we talked about that. I think I want to talk about the standard life of Nexians. So we're gonna, I think, I'm gonna try to find that one, okay? Oh, yes, that one's a good one. But do we also have, we have the rent? Yeah, we already kind of talked about that one. Disputes. Cultural taboos is good, too. You know what? Let's talk about cultural taboos. I wanted to cover this one. This one's a good one. Is the volume good too? Yeah? She'll be the lint dealer. Yeah. Oh, and if anyone's ever curious to like actually know more, I know I'm not accepting any more questions at this point, but join the Discord server, 16 plus, get in the know, you know, just like interact with the community, you know, everyone you see chatting right now, those are all like good people to probably just like start bouncing with. If only if they get permission though. I would say the first spot to drop in is to Nexus Sonas. But we're gonna do cultural taboos. Watch your Amanda's short. What app to use to animate your PNG? This is an insane one. But I use VTube Studio. Okay. So I'm gonna input the question now. Yeah, Discord. Cultural taboos. This one excites me because Nexus is kind of restrictive and we love rules. More, I just don't have, no, don't even stress it. This is more of an informational sort of deal as you have time, but then again, this can all be enjoyed solo too. But yeah, that's how that is. Cultural taboos. So here's what I'm gonna do the bullet point list. And what's this relevant for? This is gonna be if you're a local Nexian from Nexus and you happen to also be human, you're just living that good life, you know? This is what it is. And if you are someone who's been excluded from the system, or if you're an outsider coming in, this is stuff you're gonna be kind of like, ouch. You're like, what the hell? You know? You're gonna be like, what the hell? I'm gonna do the bullet list. And then we'll talk more about it. So, arguing in public. Coasting on tasks. So doing bare minimum. Having pets or just animals in general. Flaunting status. Changing lives. Discussing brain implant malfunctions or any like critique at all of anything that's advanced tech-based that's been provided by Nexus. Provided specifically by Nexus. We're gonna elaborate. Discussing systematic flaws in general. Yep. And discussing places outside of Nexus. People might get really again, people, because of how like kind of weird this place is, people are going to have a kind of strong feelings about it. Like, think about it this way. Like, say what you call it? say you're a person, you've been just trooping through life, you know, say you've lost some people just disappeared from your life, you've been doing your best, you've been told all these things, you feel a little weird, you know, but you go on anyway, and you do your best, right? And then all of a sudden, there's all these things that are just going to start triggering you, you know? There's all these little things, and even if it's a little thing, people are going to feel bothered because they have this opposite reaction because they feel like, well, I don't know the answer to that, and that kind of scares me that I don't know. I'm kind of scared. So they're scared, and they're maybe suppressing a memory. So like a local Nexian, this is if someone's been impacted, and otherwise if someone has had a pretty decent life, they're just gonna be like, what? Why would I care about that? Everything's fine. Like, they would genuinely believe it if they somehow avoided all of those traps. Yeah. So it'd be like so at that point it'd be like a misfit situation. Like, oh, if you do all that stuff, it's gonna be a little tough. So like a local, if you're into, I would say local Nexians in general, it's kind of like interacting with an NPC. They're the non-playable characters. You can make this quote-unquote NPC, but they have like a very fragile existence that they all work hard to maintain. And if you like break out of that, you could like come get through to someone, you know, you can get through to someone, or you can break out yourself. That's the story. That's where you become, you know, a character with unique things, you know. Otherwise you're kind of in a stasis point where you're just going on like robotically. You're like, I just keep going, you know. Okay, so we're gonna go talk about it some more. Drop some water. So arguing in public and expressing anger is seen as unfavorable, and if reports are made, if you're making a scene, people are likely to be punished. So small punishments include receiving less merit coin for the tasks they do until they have a higher rating. So there is a reputation rating system going on, integrated into the algorithm. There is a reputation system, another factor that keeps you... It's another Black Mirror sort of deal going on here. Uh-oh. It's more of, It's more rated to outdoors, you know? It's more public spaces. In public spaces, it goes into effect. Yeah, it's... Nexus is a utopia! Nexus is a utopia! Nexus is a utopia! Nexus is a utopia! Just believe it! You have to believe it, guys! Nexus is a utopia! Nexus is a utopia! I know, it sucks. No, it doesn't suck, it's a utopia! I can't let myself... I'm holding on to the strands of my sanity. They are advised pathways, some including human therapy or relying on more on their AI assistant suggestions for anger management and responses. So, when it comes to this, so punishment 1 is receiving less currency of whatever type of currency you're dealing with. If you're getting punished at work, you're going to receive less work currency. If it's like, if you're making an offense in a public space in Nexus, it's going to be less merit coin. Yeah. The cores are kind of outside that. That's more of a virtual currency sort of system. That's how they connect. So you can still get by if you just have a good source of cores. So you can still survive. If you ever like run out of merit coin, bad things, because that just shows that you have not been a good citizen. So bad things. So there's kind of a threat there that is implied, not stated. There's a threat there that's implied but not stated. Yeah, so you can also be assigned, again, a service, which would be like human therapy. Or you could actually be assigned to like follow your AI assistant more. And AI assistants, when they're connected to the system, like, and especially being monitored, not all AI is monitored because there's so much things being keeping track of. It's still possible to kind of... It's like more of like a sweeping report of what's going on, but if you get specifically tagged, your AI assistant can actually be possessed by entities that can control it, which would be like top of Nexus or something like that. They can actually just have this way to influence you if you're still in the system and you're supposed to like, okay, just follow your AI assistant. So your AI assistant will actually is actually like a little conduit. You know, you have them from a typical local Nexian. This is all a local Nexian deal, okay? There's ways around it, but AI assistants, they're kind of tools that kind of, they have like basically like a little mascot that interprets all of the algorithms, everything that Nexus wants. Counterpoint, no. This is, again, standard. There's possible for an AI to be cut off from the system. They could be specially made. This is not just crime. There's a legal way and an illegal way. There's some that can just be cut off legally, and it's just solely a custom one for you. But a typical local Nexian is going to have an AI assistant that's receiving all of this input and molding you to be how you need to be. And this is why all local Nexians are kind of like this. And you could just be assigned as a punishment. It's like your AI assistant is probably going to mess with you. It's probably going to mess with you because it's no longer just your AI assistant talking to you. It's whatever entity is manipulating it now. And you have an emotional tie to it, so you're kind of more susceptible as a local. Yeah, so this is again, if you're in the system, there's benefits, but there's only benefits. 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 So if your AI is tied to the system, get ready. Get ready. That's a little access point. An emotional access point even. That's gonna sting, isn't it? Can you imagine that? I love the benefits. So that's a possible, really for anything. So that's like, even if it's like arguing in public, but it could be like other things. Those are possible repercussions. Repercussions. Yeah, oh yeah, similar, you know what else there is? There's I haven't talked about, this is kind of related to, you can also lose access to, you know how, okay, let's imagine Discord as our point of comparison. Let's do Discord. You know how certain roles can get assigned, roles that have permissions to view more channels, right? It's kind of like the same in Nexus in a way, where people, there is like access that people can be granted for areas they can be in. And if they are not granted access, then they can't be there. And there could be like a more of a social thing where you're just expected to, but they can literally do things to make it so you follow that rule. Drifters more of a term for like people who come into Nexus. It's less they're like new and people are kind of cautious at first, but as they get integrated into the system, they're still considered like Nexians, but you don't get demoted unless you're just constantly a drifter in a way. Yeah, so basically, that's another punishment. You'd lose access to areas and so you'd be like confined to a smaller space. So you're basically kind of like house arrest vibes or like area arrest. That can be a thing. These are all like possible punishments, but anyway. Posting on tasks. If you get too low on merit coin, you're not going to lose your home. You're not going to become homeless. You're not going to lose access to food. You're just, you'll be fine. You'll just probably be gone, but don't worry about it. Don't worry about that. Just keep doing your tasks. Don't coast on them. Be a productive citizen. Be a productive citizen, okay? Just be a productive citizen. Yeah, pretty much. It's like a video game. Consider, in a way, you can just imagine Nexus to be like a real-life video game where you get tasks sent in, tasks to accomplish, your main goals assigned to you. It's like a controlled narrative experience in a way. And yeah, you can unlock areas. You can have stuff hidden from you. You can have a view of a map, for example. You can like imagine like a little map system where you can like know the area you're in, but everything else is just blacked out. And this is like the only area you know about. It's more specific to say you're in a facility, right? So it is kind of like one big video game as a comparison point for tech. As for tech, it's kind of like that. Okay. Also, merit coin is visible. Merit coin operates also as a bit of another social reputation thing, too. It's a virtual social currency as well, to a degree, where people can just see how much merit coin you have. Get to work, see you later. Alright, goodbye, Olympia nerd! Yeah, it's custom made. Yes. Yes, custom made would definitely fall under that. So AI could either be converted to be detached or made specifically. That is true. That is real. Okay, we have a sip. Oh yeah, we already talked about this another time, but you can only have one AI assistant legally. But you can have, that's like the core interactive thing. You can still have multiple bodies it can inhabit. So you can still have multiple versions, but it's all the same AI. Alright, anyway. Yeah, so low numbers, low performance, so people just judge you for how good of a Nexian you are, you know, so that's a thing. It can compound into yeah, that's where the discrimination comes from, where it comes from not being a good Nexian. If again, this is all applicable only to like literally only the humans. Only the humans, only the people privileged to be in the system. They're still dealing with things. They're still... Nexus is a utopia. Scream it loud and proud. It's going to keep us sane, I promise. Yeah, lore stream, Axio. Axio's here. Lore! This is a reference stream, okay? So it's gonna be a VOD. Don't worry about missing anything. This is a reference. You know, you go check this out just to go back to, you know? Yeah, the Vtuber. I have my Vtuber. I'm not even really using my expressions. What? Yes. Just kidding. Just kidding. Just kidding. Okay. Okay, having pets. Involving living pets are seen negatively with great judgment directed toward, especially if someone actually had one. If you just straight up said you had one, people would be kind of shocked and a little bit disgusted, perhaps. But just overall judgment, overall just like, what the hell? Dog pit, raccoons, I got you, raccoons. This is yeah. Yeah. So the main thing, basically all normal Nexians, I'm talking about just the baseline. People are kind of raised to like not enjoy animals, and this has been a sent message. Think about again those AI companions that are with a person since birth, plus the whole culture. Everyone's just raised to believe a thing. Glow eyes, gotcha. Oh, you know what I could do? I just thought about it. Did I turn it on? Yeah, there we are. I just thought about it. What does this one look like? Ooh, that's cool. Actually, I like this. I should have been moody this whole time. Yeah, not even cats. Well, people like... Okay, here's my specification. People like animals. Only when they're mascot... Only when they're AI companions. So AI companions can still be modeled, but people, when they first think of something... If you say cat, if you say anything... They're going to think about a model first. They're going to think about an AI companion model. But if you're seriously talking about like a furry living creature, they're going to be like, what the hell are you on? You know? And if you're found to have one, it's going to be taken. And if you're seen around, like say something's, say like a bird flies by, you know, say, overall, Nexus does a pretty good job of keeping animals out. Probably through like use of tech or whatever, right? They could probably still do that, but even if like animals did get in, look, you gotta treat. It's like if you want to like have a comparison, it's kind of like you're interacting with a whole group of like active cult members. They're not bad people, but they've literally been raised. This is all just a comparison because Nexus is nothing like a cult. But just for sake of comparison, it's kind of like a cult. But I'm not actually saying it is. But you can say Nexians, a local just raised from a normal life Nexian, is kind of like, they're not a bad person. They've just been raised away. Is there forest areas? Yes. Yes, there is. Past the city, next to the animal-like features. I've already covered that earlier on. If you scrub through, there's going to be a question about what species there are. So you can scrub to that question if you want. And, oh, basically people like, so that was like, that's like real animals, but people like decorative, they like tech-inspired animal things. So people still, it's just the automatic thought. When a person thinks about like an animal, like say like us or whatever, like think about a cat, I'll think about Assistant Cyan. Is it frozen? Oh, it is. Wonder why. Chat, are you good? Do I have to I don't know how I fix that. Maybe I can open it up on here. Let's see. Yeah, they like the concept, but not, they don't, it's like they talk about something, but they only understand it in one way. So they like to accessorize, like, you know, for me, it wouldn't be out of the ordinary to say wearing accessories like this, or to even get, we'll probably touch a little bit. It's not like too intense of modifications, but people can be like that. It's not too crazy, you know? How the city came to be, we did not yet. I'm trying to see if I can somehow access, we'll log in here. I want to see if I can fix this. Stream tools. Should be, which one was it? Oh, I know another option. Maybe if we go here. Robot body. Well, people like use avatars, you know, but a fully modified, I feel like that would be like, you know what that would be? I feel like that'd be more of like a, it's like a rarity, but as if it aligns with Nexus's vision for what they put out. Basically, people just trust things that Nexus provides, and Nexus are quite controlling of what they allow access to unless they have complete control of the person. At least on the surface. See if that worked. I don't know if it did. Can someone type something? Oh, yeah, that did it. That did it. Great. So we fixed it. To respect Eddie a lot. Look, I'm talking about the standards. We're talking about the standard here. And it's easy to be a rebel with all these standards. Because it's like literally, it's not. This is just a comparison. It's not. I'm actually saying this. Nexus is like one humongous city cult. Don't worry. So of course, to make it work, you gotta be fully in it. I just joined. How are you? I'm doing well, Eli. I'm gonna have a drink. What are we on? We could talk about that. Oh, cultural taboos, right. Where did I find that? Here? Flaunting status. Yeah, so flaunting status. The general narrative is that all Nexians are equal and serving the same mission. At least that's like the general broad statement. Behind closed doors, behind a lot of systems, it's not the case. Modifications. I will not be accepting new questions at this current time, unless it's like related to a present one, I think. But you can drop it. You can drop it. I mean, especially if you submit your Sona, I'll allow access to some more stuff. But we're going to be covering what has already been asked. And once we get to it, because I'm pretty sure we have something similar listed, but we'll get to it when we get to it. So, for any questions, have a nice day. Yeah. Because we have a lot of questions. That's the thing. We've been collecting questions for like 4 months now. Yeah, flaunting status. That's like it's just like a broad thing, a broad sort of deal. But what I have this? Yeah, so figures in power, typically as a standard, are meant to be humble and like idol-like. you could say Nexus kind of operates as though there's idols. Like there's people who have succeeded, who are examples of what it means to be a true Nexian, of what it means to be like as you should be, at least for most cases. Not the case for everyone. Not the case for everyone. That's just the general standard expectation narrative. So we got that one. And yes, so the faces of Nexus, they're meant to be seen as approachable and perfect in many ways. People have earned their position, and you could be like them. That's the narrative. Because they are like you. We're all kind of all equal here, but that's like at a risk. You know what I mean? Changing lives. So this goes back to the whole AI algorithm system I've told you about. You don't want to change anyone else's like algorithm. You don't want to change anyone's narrative that's been predetermined for them. They have to stick with the narrative if they want to self-actualize to be what they were supposed to be. So if they were, and this is especially a case, if there's like ever something bad that happens, you leave it be. You don't help. You don't help. This is the standard. Again, local Nexian standard is you see someone in trouble, you don't help them because that's not your destiny, that's not their destiny. And destiny is less of a, it's still, again, it's still kind of religious based in a comparison sense, but it's more like this will literally impact what's going to happen to me. And it's probably going to mean bad things if I do this good thing. So if someone's drowning, you're like, I gotta go do my tasks. Overslept. Oh no, not you, Queen. Breaking their destiny. No, yeah, this is like a trope. Like any local, if you're following this local, this is like an, or if you're from, there's different approaches. You can be an entering in, you could be a local, you know. The local narrative is you're a, like, not really, because it's not. You're like a cult member and you have a moment of awakening and then boom. Changing fate. That's basically a common theme with a lot of people of getting out of their system, their algorithm, changing things. But, you know, there's multiple threads to ticket. Uh-oh. Okay. Status, changing lives. Yeah, so it's like a same like karma thing. Their karma exists as doing the tasks that they should be doing. I will say this, so there's one thing I didn't touch on, but it's actually acceptable, like what's encouraged, you know, tasks. They can't just, they're not only like just like doing things for Nexus in the sense like, oh, you gotta go spy on this person. Oh, you gotta go deliver this to this place, you know. Oh, you gotta prevent someone from entering this area, right? You don't even know why, you just do it. But you can also be assigned tasks like, oh, you gotta go help take care of this elderly person. Oh, you gotta go help this person. You gotta go help this person with this thing. So people do still do that. So you can say if anyone ever needs like a human's help, you know, or even with your assistant too, it could be a dual thing. You still get asked to help people. It's just you don't do it when you're not asked by the system. You're criminal. No way. Aren't able to think by themselves. It's like a possibility. It's just, think about like if they were a true born Nexian with all of this in mind, without, you would need help basically. But once you get the ball rolling, you can break free. It's just if you're following the script and it's been comforting for you, you will not think for yourself because you only react to things. Yeah, pretty much. You can break out of it, but you know, it's hard. It's hard. Okay. Discussing, same with that, brain implement functions. There's nothing wrong with the technology. So from, you know how I said saviors came along from like that intro animated thing, right? Saviors came to a destroyed city. There was a great catastrophe. This is more of like mythos energy, like it's not a it's not well defined, but every Nexian knows this basic narrative that there was once a great catastrophe that destroyed all this land, you know, and the people who survived, they were basically in shambles or bound to be, you know, bound to just die. And then came saviors who brought along a mysterious technology, a mysterious resource that allowed them to... A different one. It's not just a common thing around all the world. This is a unique thing to Nexus that's allowed them to quickly, rapidly grow and build and reorganize and all that stuff, right? And if it was like always a population problem, they can bring in more people, get them integrated through their means, right? So they were able to pool together a people, build this city to be as great it was, and it all started with a technology similar, like a technology similar to the brain implants, and then there's been updates ever since. So the founding people, at least the people who were not in the know of anything, they had to accept this. They were at the very bottom, and they were like, at last a chance to save ourselves. At last a chance to save Nexus. Well, it wasn't Nexus then, but it became Nexus. It was named Nexus upon this day where that happened. And so that's why, for generations since then, people have been very compliant and agreeable to any sort of advancement, because advancement is what got them here, and the evasion, you know, the lack of everything is what was necessary and what is still necessary to have a utopian, perfect, rebuilt city. And if you defy that, well then you're going to have a catastrophe again. But I will say, it's happened before. It's been cyclical. It's happened before. That's where the layers come from. That's where the layers come from, guys. Control them. You know, it's like a resource thing. Like, why like spy on everyone equally, you know? Why do all this when you could just do a broad sweep and give people enough push and just let them do it themselves in their own mind, you know? They'll control themselves, basically, at some point. Okay. Systematic flaws. Should not be stuffed. Nexus Utopia. No better life in Nexus. AI must be trusted. People position the foods have your best interests in mind. Yep. Okay. So the topics are ever brought up, people become very uncomfortable and will work to end their conversation with you. They will refuse services, outright ban you from a location. People tasked with separating you from an interrogated party and potentially capture you until enforcements arrive. So basically any person can kind of get a new task and just be like, oh, I gotta separate these people. I gotta hold this person here until someone can come. Okay. Discuss anything outside. Yeah, again, people pretty much only consider Nexus. Nexus is the only way of life to them. And yeah, and anything that's like, if you ever push the bounds, you're bound for the best consequence, which is erasure. Not terrifying at all. No, there's nothing. Look. Just hold in your heart, Gremlin. Hold this in your heart. Hold this in your heart, Gremlin. Nexus is a utopia. Just keep that in your brain, and you're going to stay sane. Okay? Okay, that's the prescribed medication for if you're having any concerns. If anyone's having any concerns, that's my recommended prescription for you. You've taken the utopian pill. Enjoy it, please. Or else you might go insane. I'm just calling you out because you mentioned it most recently. Okay, shh. Was there anything else? Yeah. There was a conflict thing. It's just similar. People get assigned to separate people. People are encouraged. People get even tasks how to like handle like a conversation at times. If it's like you're arguing and it's like escalating or whatever, you actually get assigned recommendations, and you can actually have like assistance. You can get assistance with a lot of things, but We got that. Is rent exists all property. So we're gonna talk about. I know. We'll go get this copy. I'll copy this one. Hold it in your heart, and you will be okay. Everything's gonna be okay. That's a silly thought. That's a silly thought. Guys, I'm sorry to think that maybe Next is not a utopia. That's silly. Haven't you been paying attention to the stream? Everything I've said has only been good things, right? Forget what utopia means. It's perfect. It's perfect. It's perfect. It's perfect. It's a very good place. Everything I've said has only been about a positive message. No way, Delphix Spill, that's wrong. It's a utopia, you goof. I've been trying to tell you this whole time. Everyone, I've been telling you this from the start. Why won't you listen to me? Okay, so we're talking about rent now. All property is owned by the government. The government leases these properties to specific organizations that work to serve Nexus. So it's gonna be like really upper level stuff here. Consider them like responsible parties. It's like a landlord, but they're a whole organization. There's nothing bad about Nexus, no. Of course there's not. Obviously. Responsible parties that delegate and coordinate the maintenance for maintenance services and general tracking. And their delegation can include the utilization of AI, tools, and whatnots, making sure the system's working, checking in with that. All upper buildings are accounted for within the system. Upper buildings, there may be exception. Rare exceptions. Plus things that might have been modified. That connects to the AI algorithmic system that links people's brain implants, among other things. People are assigned where to live and have a few opportunities in their life. They have a few opportunities in their life where they can change it. Rent does exist, though its values on tasks people complete and additional services that are recommended to them by AI. Hey, welcome! Welcome, Marker! Welcome! So, yeah. Merit coin accepted in most places, especially related to basic necessities, yep. And yeah, pretty much. You already covered like all the coin stuff. So overall, homes are required to maintain enough quota of merit coin. And alternative is pay Nexus cores. So if you actually run out, you still have one last line. And if anything happens, you know, bad things, well, good things. Just things that were bound to happen will happen if you can't do it anymore. Decide, because I mean, you'd have to like willingly like, you'd have to be such a bad Nexian, like to not do your tasks and maybe get in trouble a lot, right? To run out of merit coin, because merit coin, I would say the tasks are pretty like simple in the moment. It's all about being like accessible in a way and willing to take up a task, basically. What's happening here? You're going to have to start. Rather than watching live here, if you have the time, you're going to want to rewind to the start and hear about the intro for this. We're basically just going through all the questions that have been submitted, and I'm not accepting additional ones because we've been gathering these ones for 4 months. OMG! Okay. Caring for cleaning up litter, doing little surveillance work, exchange for necessities such as house, food, clothes, more. Yep. Home values and costs go up with more people, but it's usually manageable. If they work together, complete special unit tasks. So this is an important one. Rewards are often greater. Unit tasks might just be letting others make use of their home or starting a business to provide a service or good in demand. So as it relates, we'll probably find another question that this ties to, but units. People can, there's basically like kind of like a personality. These checkpoints are like opportunities to change your living situation, which can be like, say you find your lifelong partner of a platonic or romantic sense, or you find that you want to, there's probably going to be like limitations, but you can always put your intent out there as, I would like to live with this many people in my life. I would like to do this in my life. And you'll get assigned people, not necessarily assigned. This is related to another question. Yeah, units. So legally, you can have preferences. It can be, it could be preferences towards plans. You can even update plans too, but if you'd like to like start a family, that's an option. If you'd like to live with people, that's an option. In Nexus, it's normalized to have unique units. Unique is just anything, really. You can have a polyamorous romantic relationship. You could have a group of, like, friends. I mean, there's always going to be exceptions, but you could have a group of friends living together. You can have just an assignment based off of people dedicated to the same cause, and then there's basically like another system you enter to kind of that helps you with the finding process and compatibility process, and or it could just be a standard one other person type deal where you start a family. I mean, I'm not gonna say what you should and shouldn't do. So long as you're complying with the laws of Nexus, I mean, so long as you somehow make it through Nexus's system, you can probably legally start some stuff, maybe. So long as you're not breaking any taboo publicly. A lot of ideas, yeah. So you can be as unique as you'd like with how you define a unit, but units basically, it's kind of like entering a multiplayer mode, you know? So you know when you get tasks for yourself, a unit basically gets tasks as the unit. So this could be like a whole family, and you get tasks. You can have preferences. You can get on different paths. So you could be like, okay, we're gonna be letting our home be used for something. We're gonna be providing this collectively as a group effort, you know? Unit. I mean, I enjoy it. Hey, well, if you're you gotta be cautious and think about things, you know? Think about things. If you trip any red flags and your AI is compromised, and then you're doomed. So, but hey, if you can make it work, if you can avoid all the taboos, if you can avoid all the... There's a possibility for you to do some unique things. Some fun activities. But again, you have... If there's any like resource you need, you'll have to go to another venue. Unit. Send help, what do you mean? Legacy inner circle families. So there's like distinctions, right? Of like a normal family versus like something a little bit more exclusive or like higher up, right? Often provide, so legacy or inner circle, new term drop. Legacy or inner circle families end up providing tremendous amount of value in the eyes of Nexus as a whole. You can even say units can even, there's different unit things that can, so even like a corporation could be offered tasks, and if they're after a lot of value, then it gets kind of crazy. So it's not just individual based, but let's have a drink. Yeah, so while some may be rich in true assets like cores, others are rich in reputation by like merit coin or something else, right? They wealthy biz own their own unique asset. Yeah, so they could do that too. You're doomed. Sorry, this is your life now. Unit. And let's see. I already talked about that. It's possible to manually disconnect yourself from the system. Something that's more relevant for crime. It's not that there's criminals. No one to do crime here. Must mean they have... So basically, you can disconnect from the system, but it just means you have to have a reliable source of cores somehow. Because if you're disconnected from the system, I already touched on this, then you're disconnected from virtual currency too. So you have to find places that do business with cores. There's exemptions and what's this? Most deals. It cuts them off from working with any business that mostly deals in merit coin or relates to virtual currencies, and overall most would look to them in suspicion for asking for off-record work. So people would be suspicious of you if you actually were just direct about it. Criminals can pretend to be people who are allowed exemptions, which is a possibility. You can be exempt from having to engage with the system, but that's like a privilege in a sense. But yeah, it takes a lot of charisma and ability to sell a good lie for this to work. So if we think about this, it's kind of like it's like rolling for a charisma check, and some people have more of this than others, you know. So you can, because people are kind of suspicious if it's like, it's basically like regular money. It's like, oh, you want cash when everyone's like doing card or something, right? It's kind of like that. It's like, what? Why do you only want this, right? People would be kind of like, So you kind of have to pull it off. You have to pull it off, and then people could be like, okay, I'll accept course, or yeah, I'll do business in course. If you pull off your role, essentially. So how good of a liar and how like charismatic you are, that can impact, especially if you're just disconnected from the system. Because think about it, if merit coin is meant to be like a perceived public thing that people can just peer and see, and they don't see that for you, that's gonna be like, what the hell? What's wrong with this person? You know, think about it from that perspective. Like, this is something people see, and if they can't see it, they're gonna be a little bit suspicious. Yeah, so you have to play it off, because there are such thing as exemptions. Where you're like, yeah, you don't have to display it publicly, but you have to pull it off. Redeliver, yeah. Pretty much, yeah. But you know, next scenes, you can also say they're at times, they're like kind of like alert a little bit, but they can also be kind of naive. They can be naive, but you gotta say the right things. Need to go. All right. Goodbye, Ricker. Are you required to live on your own or with friends? So let's go pull that up. This relates to, we already touched on this a little bit with the unit thing. So units enter like new task pools and stuff, but are you required? You can live with family and friends, so we're just checking that off to make sure it's understood. I will say, to elaborate on like housing things, it's going to relate to your so we're going to elaborate on this a little bit more. Like humans nice. We're gonna elaborate. So when it comes to home placements, it's going to depend. So people have checkpoints. Once we get the question, once I can find the question, for like a standard life, I hope I can find it, but I think the age was, oh, I know what it was. Basically, after you complete all your schooling, you're an adult now. There's actually a range of time. It was between like 18 and 21 or so, where things are kind of up in the air potentially. So you're not going to, there's not just like a day, you're like, I'm going to be this at this age. Sometimes some people do have it immediately. Other times people are a little delayed and they have some free time. They have some free time to do other stuff. That's not a guarantee. But once they're placed, they can, they have the opportunity, again, with those like little survey things of like figuring out, it's like, okay, what kind of living situation do I want? This is like preferences, but then you think about like, okay, where did they get placed, right? It's not an easy life either. Well, everything's easy and fun in Nexus. Everything's fun and easy in Nexus, but so say you get placed somewhere, right? If your job is a confidential job, if your job demands you get like, I mean, then again, you can think about, you might have an inkling of an idea if you know about your family line. So you might already be kind of excluded from society a little bit in some ways. But it's possible that not just like experimental facilities, you know? It's possible that not just experimental facilities with the actual like inhabitants, but even like, imagine the people who work at those facilities or any other kind of place that demands a lot of confidentiality and loyalty. People can actually get assigned to live at their place of work or within like a family legacy area where it's like everyone in this area is related to you to a degree, but it's kind of still closed off, you know? So this can be close to the city center. This can be far away from the city center. So people can still like live far away and be kind of isolated in their own like kind of You know, like this is my family home, and it's like a more of like one of those like huge places where there's a bunch of structures in it. So depending on your role and your family line, you might already be prone to being separated from other things, and all of your like tasks, anything you have to do, all your job stuff will be contained within a sphere. So there exist spheres where, regardless of where you get placed, whether you're a high privileged person or just an ordinary citizen, you can still be subject to being isolated, depending on the nature of your job. So if you're like a researcher, researchers are quite kind of like super up there in the social hierarchy of things. They can be like such a whoa, that's an amazing job, you know. You can have such like an amazing job, you know, because everyone's like that's like one of the biggest like values of Nexus. But you can be a researcher and still be kind of out of it and detached from Nexus to a degree. You can kind of be stuck in your own little world. You know, if it's like a very confidential sort of deal. If you're like kind of some kind of like sociologist or whatever, if you're dealing with people or in on the field labor, you know, well then of course. But you know what I mean? So depending of how confidential are you, regardless of how privileged or not privileged you are, you'll probably be confined to a degree. And let's just throw out a hypothetical. Let's just throw out a little bit of a hypothetical here. Let's imagine like this little goofy scenario. Imagine you're like a director of Nexus or something like that. Like, imagine that kind of job. It's just a random one, you know? Like, wow, ooh, you're up there, right? You're up there. But you're also going to be very controlled. You're also going to be very controlled and very contained in a world where only whatever information you get, you're going to get fed it, basically. You can't go out there. And that's just an example, you know? That's just an example, a little casual example I'm throwing out there. Yeah, so you can, even if you're someone high up, you're going to be kind of... So you can say there's a lot of instances of people, regardless of where you are, being detached from what Nexus is actually like. Whether you're like an experimental subject or someone high up, you can be just totally unaware of the world of how Nexus is like. You can just be in your own world, entirely your own world, and just not know about Nexus. That is a possibility. You won't even know about the world, I mean, unless you had experience with the world before, but that came from schooling. And when you're in a schooling age, Nexus does a lot to make sure you're brought up right, quotation marks, if you're a local Nexian. So you're going to have limited locations you can go. You're going to be raised in the way you need to be raised to be what you need to be, usually. There's exceptions. There's scenarios where this is a little different. But usually it's a more seamless transition. Usually if you're like integrated with your family line, you kind of have an idea what to expect, and you're already probably separated. So it's not going to be out of the ordinary. Yeah. So, yeah. Isn't that fun? Just a bunch of detached people. It's like, oh, I don't know what's going on. I'm just serving my role. There's such... It gets even smaller and smaller and smaller populations of people that know the whole picture. Because people are just in their role, you know? And smaller and smaller and smaller till all the way up there is only so few people. Even in the people of leadership, they don't even know what's going on. You have to get way up there before you even see the whole picture. Someone are orphans. Yeah, so, I mean, that might be an interesting thing to talk about. With a family member. Well, if you were never a part of the... No, it depends on the system. If you were in the system, if you're brought into the system, then you're kind of a blank slate, Jen. You're kind of blank slate. It doesn't matter who your family was before. Because only the moment you enter Nexus do you get the brain implant, do you get integrated into the system, do you get retrained. It won't be perfect training, but, you know, you'll still have... It is possible for memory manipulation to occur. It is possible. So you could even just not know your whole background, even. You could have a royal family, but it doesn't matter. You're going to be basically offered a very... They're going to make they do their best to make sure any outsider is integrated well. So you're probably going to get the basics. You're probably going to be like confronted with the basics of life. You're like, oh, you know. It's implied. You know, it's pretty much a requirement, but it's more like kind of like, it's like, who wouldn't want that? Who wouldn't want that, huh? That's normal. If you want to be a part of us, you gotta do that. And if you're not going to be a part of us, then you're going to get sent off to be recycled. Not recycled, but like used for science. If you're going to be uncompliant like that, you know? Maybe if I exit out of this, I can do it. Maybe it'll work. I'll close out of that. Well, it's donated to science, whether you're alive or dead, you know? Whether you're alive or dead. Be back, I'm leaving in a few seconds. Alright, bye, Waffle! Pretty much. So, okay, so if you're like an outsider, you're entering Nexus. If you decide to follow through and get the implant stuff, excellent. It's gonna be tough. If you don't have a network, you're kind of screwed a little bit until you can somehow figure out how to fix yourself. And if you have a streak of like disobediences, if you're not integrating well, the Nexus is probably going to get you and do more extensive retraining before they recycle you. Which I'm just going to use that term because it's goofy. It's just fun and goofy. It's just fun and games here, right, in Nexus. It's just fun and games. I will say it's possible. It is going to be possible for some to slip through. Mistakes are possible. It's a rarity, but people can slip through before even entering that process. People can find people. People can reach out and like customize like and change up the settings of... They can basically interface with a brain implant. There's people who are knowledgeable about that. My thing's a little kind of lagging out right now, but don't worry. We're doing lore. If you want to know what's going on, start at the start of this VOD. This is more for everyone to know at the moment. This is a reference VOD, so you can jump around or just chill for the energies right now. Yeah, so the people can make an effort to kind of like catch outsiders before they get integrated. That's a possible exploration. It's just you got to consider that it's going to be a rarity. So everyone that happens to is such a rare exception. And gradually maybe it'll get easier, but think about it again. Organizations are still establishing themselves and it's still establishing their routes and still getting networked. So it's not going to be perfect, especially now. It's going to be especially hard now. Yeah, let's have a slip. Stop lagging! But yeah. So that's a possibility. If you can somehow like there's possible people. It's possible for defects to not defects, but like people who have a really specialized knowledge to like escape their situation or like fake it. So you can also have a scenario where there's a rebellious like surgeon who's doing this to you, right? If they're rebellious, but the thing is, they have an even harder probability of... Because given how critical all this is, that's even a lower probability in the grand scheme of things. Like, if you get caught, oh boy! You'll probably, you know what probably would happen? You know, it kind of begs the question, like, why wouldn't Nexus just, like, rewrite everyone's memories, erase all of them? It's because everything's still kind of in an experimental phase, you know? So they're still playing with memories at this point. At this point in time, memories are still being played with. People are still being tested. Updates are still being made. But people, if they're subject, they might just be like, okay, we're going to put you on the special program here we haven't implemented it yet. But one day, it could be implemented where people just get brainwiped or something with their memories replaced. It's like a capability, it's just kind of glitchy and weird. Meaning, even if that did happen to you, you could probably still have some glitches going on if it's experimental like that. Okay. Scrolling down. That's an interesting one. Okay, this is a good one. It's a long one. Oh, Ross is like... Well, it's like... Well, it's a new question, so I probably won't answer it. But what I did talk about was the fact that people can be assigned surveillance tasks, can be assigned to, like, hold someone, detain someone temporarily until people come along who are specialized in that job. So there's probably still people who work there. It's just anyone can be employed to be like that, you know? Where is it? All this. To developed. Oh my gosh, it's getting out there. It's getting out there. Not really. There's still enforcements. Do not worry. It's just a lot of people can partake in the enforcement. Okay. Historic places. This is okay. The last thing was historic or physical places. Maybe I move this down. Oh my god, this is a long one. Okay, what else? I'm just gonna crop you off there. That works out for me. Is it set in the future of this world with actual places and all this world's history, or is it just a world with a lot of similarities to our own and developed in a similar era but shares none of the world's history or physical places? So, this is an alternate universe with an alternate Earth. So you still got Earth laws of physics, but I will say this is basically how I've imagined it. Something like Pangea did exist, where all the continents were once attached together, and that it just separated. It happened differently. It broke up differently, so the land shapes are different. History played out differently. You can be inspired by any kind of culture. You can be inspired by things. You can be inspired. You can be inspired, but you can never say that you are this. So you can't be like, I'm an American. I'm from Texas. If you really wanted to follow that and say you were an outsider from somewhere like that, you would have to just have a spin-off and understand that your memories as an outsider are probably going to be manipulated, so it's kind of fuzzy. So people will enter, even if you do recall it, you know. That's just how it is. We're not really exploring much of the rest of the world. But, just alternates can exist, but history overall played pretty differently. So while I also had a similar thing, let's see. Human civilization had completely different history with cultures that only echo, but you can also just have a completely unique thing too. You can have a completely unique thing. Completely unique. You can still make your own kind of culture that you imagine your character from. On a similar vein, while many animals in our world exist in this alternate world, they actually there's also different species as well as some that never went extinct. So this is more of a flexible thing. While animals are not really allowed in this place, you can still create little fuzzy creature buddies that maybe you manage to smuggle in somehow or find around Nexus. You can create little creatures if you want. You know, yeah, dinosaurs, you know? Like, we could have... there could be a place out there where there's still some dinosaurs. There could be a dragon. Just kidding. I kind of want to make sure I stay away from too fantastical, so... I lean away from extraterrestrial, I've pronounced that probably wrong, but aliens. I'm gonna say we're gonna limit that because that's kind of a lot. So aliens we're not gonna touch on. We're not gonna do that. We're not gonna talk about supernatural. We're not gonna talk about supernatural. This kind of goes to species limit. I mean, it's not like a ghost town of whatever, right? If you're like a ghost or you're like some kind of you have to be like a flesh creature, you know? You know what I mean? You have to be like a living, like tangible to a degree, right? You can't just be like, I'm the boogeyman. I come from boogeyman land. Which, no, maybe. Should I? It's just all... You know, sure, maybe you can make the big boogeyman. What you can do, this is what you can do. It's just about not getting too overpowered. That's the main thing. Not introducing something too crazy that's going to change everything. That's the main guideline. So maybe if you want to explore that, then sure. Yeah, if you want to explore something, you just gotta make sure it can integrate essentially and understand, like, I may not, like, because if you're gonna like blow, if you're gonna go so crazy, I'm like, I'm sorry, man, I can't do that. When it comes to what we will have is what you call a digital void. There'll be something like that, and I think there is room to actually, you know what, there is room to explore with some interesting elements. It's just at this point in time, I would say most things are going to come from an experimental thing, and it's going to come from data that's come from living creatures that have existed. So you could still have like a ghost hunt from like data that's been integrated into some system. You can still have entities that exist within a virtual void, and you can have that with capabilities, you know, but it's all experimental, not out there, and a rarity, you know. Getting his kneecaps busted. I see. Yeah, so that's still a possibility. And you can still, there's still such thing as simulations. Simulations still exist. Living, and you know, that's like the afterlife thing I was telling you. There's still an afterlife to that degree, so that's kind of our laws of how ghosts work in this world. Hello, Dynamite. So yeah, an invulnerable all-power psychic abilities, telepathy. Nah, you can write a simulation with it, maybe. I'll say there's a concept of simulations. It's like, oh, you had that, but oh, it was just a simulation. You thought you had all that. You were just running a simulation, actually. That's gonna be, if there's anything that just does not make any sense, we're just gonna say it was a simulation, because that's a thing in this world. So, if you had all these memories and experiences in Nexus, sorry, it was just a simulation. Yeah. No, you sure, do that. It was just a simulation, though. It was just a simulation. So you could be running, you can still experience that in like another element, but our afterlife in this world is through like data brought from brain implants integrated into technology that has not been widespread. You could have a ghost possessing tech, basically. The ghost being just like actual information of a person that used to be a person, and it was put there probably because science, ooh, interesting. So that's still real, but treat things from a scientific lens is all I'm getting at here. Just treat it from a scientific lens and don't go too out of bounds when it comes to anything else, okay? That's some water. Oh yeah, that'd be a cool one. Let me go check the time real quick. Ooh, we're getting there. We're getting there. Okay, at the, you know, when the next hour hits, at the 30-minute mark of the next hour, that's when we're going to be wrapping up for this session. So I don't even know how much questions we've gone through. You know, this is going to be an ongoing series. Uh-oh. Maybe we should noom through, like, what are some core ones? What are some core ones? Drive, radio things. Maybe I should, like, hide this. I should just go, like, hide these. Okay, we're rapid fire it. Do animals have liberated things to speak? It's possible. Science experiments can still happen to, animals can still be brought into Nexus. They can still be experimented on, but it's a contained capacity, Love your VTuber model. Thank you. Tasty lore and sobbing. Yeah, it's still possible, it's just kept away from ordinary people. Do we get free VPNs? We're rapid firing these last ones, okay? Because I got some more. Maybe I'll pull up my tablet again. I'll be like, tablet. Aha!
Do we get free VPNs? Thank you too for the gifted sub. It all stems from one sector of the government. So basically keys are passed down based on institution. This can include legal organizations, schools, corporations, families, and more. And it goes down from the hierarchy of people until the lowest ranks are reached. So basically any higher up, so my VPN concept is basically anyone above you in your institution can technically access what you do. That's still a possibility. It's just like, say, from one ordinary Nexian at the bottom of that chain as an individual, they could now just access someone else's history without, like, great troubles, that is. Great troubles. But more from a top-down of wherever they're from, whatever they're working for, whatever they're doing, right? And, while all things can be tracked and monitored, that's kind of how it works. Like, someone who's, like, who's watching you, who's your, like, superior or whatever, they could probably peer in, you know? But things aren't... There's, like, red flags that are placed that might alert, but you're not being, like, spied on, like, 100% at all times, even though you can be accessed at all times, and there are red lines that you trip, you know? So it's kind of like you're looking up, like, how to build a bomb, right? Or how to do this, or you've been doing all of this, and you trip flags, and then you start getting people checking you in, and then it goes all the way to the top, so it's not, like, pure, like, everyone can just be whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. They wouldn't want to do that. Thank you for the follow, too. All activities can inevitably be tracked by the government through that AI system, so it's not... No, it's more about alerting specific things. Only one VPN service. If they're not connected to any systems of hierarchy, people will be suspicious of you. For those on a different path, it's safe to say that using Surface will put you at risk. So if you're, like, not a part of the system, this is actually not even safe for you, really. So you have to basically construct your own safety security measures and stuff. Is there insurance on AI companions? AI companions can act as a backup hard drive for a person's brain. Some are further backed up on the cloud and some aren't. There is incentives for uploading. So basically, it's like a hard drive. It starts off as that. It's something, like, only to you. If it gets damaged and you lose it, then you're not getting it back. You know? You can get a replacement. But if you agree and opt in to having it uploaded, you could, if you ever lost your AI, it could be restored. But it's also just out there as well to be used, potentially. To potentially be used for your data. For your brain data. Yummy. Yum, 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 yum. I mean, it goes the same for your brain one, but yeah. So, you could say AI assistants, if, like, done right, they can serve as a bit of a backup emergency if you were somehow... Say your entire body was exploded or engulfed in flames. If your AI assistant got out, it might survive. It might have its own data, and it also might have some of yours. It just would be a little bit different. They can choose not to do this, but risk losing all of their information forever. Yeah. Most people go with the cloud upload. Oh yeah, this is also interesting. Speaking of insurance, it's a system that's rooted within AI tech in the algorithm. So it places a suggestion in, like, tasks and life paths that are available to a person. So it can be like a choose-your-own-adventure where there's an illusion of choice. There's always an option or two that's elevated or subtly pushed away. By following recommendations, people often experience better life situations, guaranteeing good insurance and a wide range of possessions, services, and more. They will also gain some basic income, which is so basically, if you comply, the insurance also plays to, like, the value of merit coin you get to, in a way. So yes. Preferential treatment towards homeschools more. And part of how this relates. So what does this relate to? I'm gonna sign up. Basically, what this relates to is There's one kind of rule guideline thing. Nexus is actually kind of anti-substances, unless it's like dished out by Nexus itself through the form of experimental foods or experimental practices that they've just normalized or like are putting out there. But otherwise, beyond that, any kind of like alcohol, drugs, anything that alters your experience is actually very frowned upon. Instead, people look to drugs, I mean, unless it's like experimental facility could be a little different, but it's just not recreational the slightest. It's not recreational. There's like maybe medications, but again, limited and monitored and controlled. So what was I getting at? Yes, so what do people do to kind of stimulate their dopamine if they need? There's two directions. The first one, what is a recreational activity? It's entering simulations. You know how I said how there's like outlets and venues to do things? You can't do this in the comfort of your own home. You can go to a place though where there's specialists and AIs that can help safely connect you to a simulation. You could have shared simulation experiences. Actually, I'll say it is possible. It is possible to engage in a simulation while you're not at one of these locations. It's still a possibility, but this is like the primary recreational route. You usually go to a place. It could be a solo experience. You go like into a little pod, or you go into like a group sort of deal one. You're all connected, and you enter a simulation where you play out a different scenario, basically. You can live a different life, and simulation-wise, it's kind of... It's very Matrixy, I'd say. You can have your own Matrix kind of situation going on where you're questioning, is this even real? You know? If there was such thing as a prison punishment too, if you're to be imprisoned, I would say you would be entered into a simulation as well, temporarily. That's also a thing that would happen. Thanks for the gifted subs! I gotta check on that too. We gotta see what we hit today. We gotta see what we hit. So yeah, I would say if there was such thing as like detainment, temporary detainment, you know, if you're not being donated to science, you're just being kind of stored. Or maybe they're trying to collect more brain information from you. They can do that. They can just put you in a simulation and you can't leave it. So that's a narrative and a world and a set. You could have multiple people enter a simulation together if you want to do a narrative specific to that. And you can live out any kind of world and scenario you want, you know? So you can be not in Nexus, you could live some other scenario. You can have some other thing happen, some other event, and that's just a thing. But the recreational version is a little bit more fluid, I'd say. It's very like contained experiences, like crafted, like curated, you know, by the professionals. So there's like a job that literally helps to craft simulations with also getting like input if you're like working like to like commission a simulation. People can build and construct them for you, and they'd probably like just like connect with your information, be like, okay, I'm gonna build this custom world for you. I'm gonna build this custom world, and here we go. Yeah. So if you don't want to like play, part of that is a lot of Nexians, because of like the life circumstances they have, they can be a little bit escapists. So they like to escape. That's how they kind of cope. And so it's been a great recreational service that they like to spend merit coin on, or currency and cores. People like simulations because it's like a different life they can live, you know? Welcome! Yeah, so people like those because they're kind of trying to escape their life. Well, I'm not that they want, like, Nexus is perfect, but that's just an option for them. They can have a perfectly happy scenario going down. I have a little sip of water, too. And if it's not simulation, some people take the other direction and engage in extreme sports. This is more for the youth, I'd say, but there's professionals as well. There are stadiums. There are people that do noom around in the city. There are technologies for hoverboards. There's technologies for roller skates. There's technologies for a wide variety of things. Yeah, like Nexus knew that if it was too intolerable, come on, they're like, hey, it's a little bit of a simulation. Enjoy yourselves. Enjoy yourselves. Yeah, so people like ride on those. They have a good time. It's kind of like an older generation be like, those kids riding on their hoverboards. If you know what I mean, right? So it's kind of one of those more riskier behavior technically, but there's also like protections. There's you know what? I have a technology that exists within Nexus. It's inspired off of something. It's inspired off of you know Dune? You remember whoever watched the movie Dune, or I don't know, maybe someone read the book. But you know those like little force fields that people have if they have like the control of it and then they can like block something? There's actually a tech service for that. It's not given to everyone, but this can be something that gets smuggled out, basically, or is used for like science, but there is like recreational versions of these where people can actually, like if they like fall off their hoverboard from a great distance, they're going to get hurt, but it's not going to be as bad, if you know what I mean. Like people can, it's kind of like creating little barriers almost or like creating a little force field. It's kind of like knee pads and all this. You can definitely have equipment. I think the equipment would be beneficial, but there's like also like a baseline protection thing, which makes it kind of more acceptable because otherwise people are pretty risk adverse. And so that kind of exists in this world that allow for like flying up in the air, sort of real life sport activities. Let's go. Time zones do exist, but everyone in Nexus is unified under one time. And looking through all the questions now. We got through that one. Oh yes, that was a good one that we should touch on. Yeah, I should go back to doing this. I considered doing this because I was going noon, but you know, maybe we'll do this one. This one relates more to something else, but we'll talk about it. Are there outer cities? Nexus is huge. I could say, you know, I kind of compare it to, it's almost like 3 cities. It's like one of those big little spaces, you know. Oh yeah, that was another question. It was like, is Nexus just a thing about the others? Nexus, it's like a state. It's like a city-state. Like it's called the city. It's all unified. It's all unified, but it's like its own little country even. It's because it's so isolated. Like it's all there is. It'll be covered. There's going to be a new database section where I'll detail a little more about this and what the hell. I had a great amount of assistance help from Delphix Spiel. Thank you so much. But basically, canon is, we're going to use this as mostly like a utilitarian term for anything I have reviewed. Canon is everything I have reviewed and have a thorough understanding of, and that I integrate into writing, or like a VOD maybe, but I would say the best, most guaranteed canon is written down. So say in the wiki, I write about something, I'm like, that's locked in, let's go, you know? So anything, there's going to be a process for verification where you're going to be closer to canon. You're going to be verified. You're going to be like world compatible, but I can't keep track of what everyone's doing. I can't just easily install all of your like backstories and everything you're doing. I don't have that capacity, unfortunately. unfortunately. So what that means is even as you get like verified, I can't say you're canon, but it will be a benefit in one of my tiers. It's basically like asking for my time to like review it and like lock it in, but you know, it's not to like dissuade you from contributing or anything like that, to adding on to it. Hello, Molly, welcome in. So I do have a tier where I will literally review your work, and I will do a raffle occasionally. You know, yeah, canon is just literally anything I can like directly tie down in my brain. Otherwise, I would say Nexus, you can be compatible to the world and you can create scenarios, but I personally could not just like brain download that. I mean, it'd be really nice. I cannot do that though, but you'll be closer to the canon, so it'll be a more of an ambiguous sort of state. The more, even less, and the more ambiguous, the more like, if it's something unverified or hasn't been verified yet by anyone, like say, not like a group leader, not like me, not like anything in general like that, that's even like further. So it's like the scale of canon is kind of like that. Yeah, basically, especially as you're contributing and you're adding things to your story and things I have not touched on probably, right? Yeah, I do have a storyline. Nexus, this is a collaborative project. We could talk about the state of the project. Nexus is a collaborative world-building sandbox experience. Which sounds like a lot of words, but all it means is I provide you guys with a world, a sandbox with existing qualities, natures, all so forth. And you guys can use that information. Well, you're also contributing to it. It's like a fluidity partnership collaboration, okay? Where we're kind of bouncing off each other. So even if I can't really know what each of you are doing, I can, on general, like be inspired by you as you're inspired by me. So we're kind of a creative group here. And my story is who I am. That's the thing I'm kind of protecting. I mean, you know, like the basis of it, you know. But I would like to explore my own story. My own story is going to be more like future projects, you know. So as I get like, all it's been about is like, okay, I need to make sure I can make a living though before I get onto my creative projects is the thing. You know what I mean, right? So storylines, that's locked in. And as it relates to like my storyline, there's going to be significant landmarks within the world where the world does change. But for now, what we're providing at the moment is the foundation where even though, say, something is like, oh, you're not supposed to know. It's just the world. And it's to give you flexibility to add on to the world, regardless if you want to be kind of up there or you want to be kind of down there. If you know what I mean. It's to give you flexibility of where to enter your own creative process. You can do this socially. You could do this as an organization. You know, you can do this as a group, in groups. It could be a social thing where you work together to make it cohesive. Or you can make it a solo experience and enjoy it for yourself and just know I'll be working on building a world where you'll have a jump off point to make your own stories. What are you talking about? This is live. What? I'll have another sip too. So this is all just like a way to jumpstart your creative stories and to give flexibility. But canon, it's not a bad thing not to be canon. All it means is anything I can process and integrate into checkpoints in the world where the world will change. So the world will enter milestones where checkpoints where it will change based off of events. So that's why I cannot really verify other people's events. So if someone like does something too crazy, like even like I could say like I could put like the base rounds like right, but just know like you can explore it. Just know if it interferes with like a future direction of Nexus, I can't integrate it into canon yet. Yeah, it's like fanfics, except I'm writing the I'm like providing writing fuel for free, essentially, you know? Yeah, so I'm not going to be doing that, especially as more people enter in. I don't want to limit your creativity. I'm only setting a baseline what to go off of, and if you want a social experience, you're going to want to follow the established norms of an organization, which is going to be groups you create, or like maybe a wider network group, you know? So it's you who sets the norms of your own group. If you're going to be really interactive with each other, you're going to set the norms. But if you want to set norms with me and you want me to know what's going on, that's going to take raffles, or that's going to take a membership tier. Otherwise, I will be doing my own work on continuing to flesh out the base world and anything direction-wise I'm doing on a broad stroke. Because, you know, I can dedicate my time towards integrating everything, but, you know, that's going to be an option for you. If you really want me to know what's, if you want me to consider and integrate it as I continue to write. So that's going to be how it's going to work, okay? So you set your norms. You do your own group, what you call it. You do, this coming up in the next stream, right? You do your own, like, what's your established norm, okay? That's all it is. Who are you going to let in? What are you going to let fly by? And if it's so out there, I personally have the excuse to say that it was just a simulation. That's going to be our baseline excuse. Okay, that's going to be our baseline, like, in lore. It's like, oh, all that stuff, that was just a simulation. But don't worry about it. That's only if you want it, like, in consideration as I write. Hello again, it'll be gone in a few seconds. You keep heading in and out, what are you doing? Now I'm on my first too. Pretty much. So, I mean, if you end up getting really disconnected and if you go really off the ball, then just know that I will be running mine. I will try to, again, incorporate y'all, but if we get too out of sync, I'd say, then we're probably going to be operating two different worlds, which, you know, that's an option, sure. You're operating on a different alternate reality, perhaps. But would you like to stay in sync with me, or would you like to go out of sync? I mean, that might be a bit of an issue if we're completely off the same... So long as you have my intentions, my writing, my, well, especially when I make the wiki, at least you'll have a reference point for what I will always be basing my content off of. At least you'll have that if you ever get out of sync, okay? Yeah, pretty much. So there's I think that's how it'd be. And you, so I guess you could, you have your own, like, quote unquote canon. It's just not confirmed in mine. Because you have your own norms, like, this is what happened in this, but it's like your own contained scenario, you know? That is the question. To sync or not to sync? You can go, you could enjoy yourself. This is all permission to enjoy yourselves, is what. Just know what, you'll just understand what I'm basing my content off of. If you're ever like, oh, that's just not fitting with my character. I'm like, if you're having fun with your character and you're having fun with your group and you're having fun, who cares? Who cares? I know, like, Nyx is all about all these rules. Who cares about the rules? If you're having fun, then I think that's a win, you know? Okay. We're creatives here, okay? We're creatives. I don't know what that question is. Coping mechanism? I'm looking through anything else. Adoption? Adoption's one, but is it really that interesting? Buying assistants, you know, there's only like one assistant per person. But oh, maybe we can. Maybe we can touch on this one. We have about like 10 more minutes before I'll be stopping stream, by the way. And I'll be taking a break, and then we're going to be transitioning into segment 2 of today, which is going to be Indigo Park. We are going to be playing that game. So I'm gonna stop stream, which means we still have so much to get through. We have so much. So consider this a series of creativity. Plus when I get the wiki out too. And it'll be an updated, I guess that's what to know. Once it becomes public, once it becomes public, it's going to be an ongoing project, meaning it's not going to be on a complete state. It's going to be adding to sort of deal. That's what it's going to be like for the wiki, okay? Yeah, in Dogo Park, we're going to be doing that. So that starts, I'll take a little break, and then I'll schedule the stream. We'll play that for a bit. And then we're going to have a bigger gap of time before our bonus stream, because I got some tasks to do today. So in the evening, you know, around the time I did the bonus stream last stream, you know, you remember it was, when was it? What was it? We played a Refined Self last night, for me at least. We did that. Around that time, we're going to stream again with the bonus redeem, which is going to be an art stream, which I may be working on the Sewer Squad art. But I'm open to I put it in my announcement for that. But can people just buy AI companions, and can you build an army of them? So they have one primary AI assistant that possesses abilities, you know. They're guaranteed a virtual representation, though what is purchased is a physical one, which can be sold through various means through approved venues. So you can buy a robotic form for it to possess. They have regulations. The regulations include regulations for AI assistants. I've talked about this in the past, but they are not allowed to be humanoid. They're not allowed to... You're supposed to... Nexus operates on the rule that you're not supposed to... While you're supposed to get attached to them, like they're supposed to be kind of your emotional support, your kind of guide through life in a way. Customized to you specifically and what you need, you know. You're also not supposed to humanize them, and you're not supposed to give AI companions like an existential crisis about their role. And I mean, it could happen, you know, but it gets even harder when that's done to like something that's made to be as human-like as possible. I started Nexus prior to streaming, so that was prior to 2023. In the second half of the year 2023, I thought of all of this, and I initiated, even from like day one of the Discord server, it existed technically. So it's always been around, it's just been added to and expressed in different ways. But so in AI, I would typically say it's possible. I think it is possible where an AI assistant can probably be in two places at once. That's theoretically possible, but I think there's limitations in place though. Like, it's, while doable, actual limitations exist that say that you can only be occupying one robotic form at a time. So, but yeah, regarding the shapes, they have to be basically mascot shaped, you know, animal shape perhaps, you know. There's a typical trend of like disjointed limbs, like, you know, with Assistant Cyan, for example, but that's not always the case. Not always the case. There's such thing as older models. There's older models, so you can be creative there. But most of the time, people prioritize upgrades. People see the newest as the best. One rat pin, huh? I like how I stopped right there. It's there! It's there, I swear! Heat consumption. Kidding. Yeah. So long as they're definitely, you can just mistake them as being like a human. You know, you can just treat, you wouldn't want to treat them as that. They just try to avoid that ethical problem of like, oh, you know, should we give AI rights? They never want that to be really a question, but you know. there's also possibilities for experimental AIs to be, but that's not like spread. That's more of a contained facility sort of deal. Oh, this is interesting. Yeah, this one's kind of interesting. It's a basic one. It's a basic one. Can trips their heads, let's play games while sleeping or watch movies while sleeping? Or we could just talk about capabilities in general like this. When you're asleep, you're still going to dream, except when you're entering, like, say, simulations when awake. So at that point, you're kind of in a half-awake state, half-asleep. But otherwise, games are still done through consoles, augmented reality, virtual reality, and, yeah. So you can enter a simulation to play a game, the game of life, you know, whatever. You could enter an AR sort of game, so it's like, you could say there's a really good version of Pokemon Go in this world, an alternative to it. You could say that's a possibility. Or VR, that's still a thing, but when you're asleep, you're asleep. I will say, there are some strange phenomena that happen as a result of the brain implants, which include interesting dreams. But I cannot touch further on that. Yeah. You know, people can customize to gamify life as much as they want, so it's kind of already like that, but it's like, you know, that's a thing. That's a common thing. You just see people gaming out there in real life. You're like, ah! This is an interesting one. Maybe this will be our last one. Our last one for part 1. Our last one for part 1. Confidential, he'll be blocked from some Pokestops. Oh no. For those who have families outside of Nexus, what ways might they have to communicate with them aside from simple call or a letter? Okay, so here's what I wrote. This simply wouldn't happen. This simply wouldn't happen. You silly, you know. So basically what happens is messages through a phone or physical letters or any other sort of means of communication, it just simply would not arrive. So that's whether it's being sent to Nexus or out of Nexus. It's not outright banned in terms of being read out in law, but it's more of a hidden occurrence that's not informed. It's not even clarified, and there's no like errors, there's no chip returns, there's nothing like that. If questioned further, people tend to be judgmental and like say like a typical, I don't know, like a scenario, they tend to feel like in deep down they're like, I don't know, but so they have this reaction where they feel judgmental or put accusations like they probably just don't care about you. You should just be focusing on the people you have in your life right now. So if you push this any further, you might get tripped for getting reported on in the system, and you might get retrained or potentially erased if you're really like that desperate to reach out. Yeah. So basically for outsiders, from their perspective, outsiders, they often assume that they simply liked life there more. So remember from the beginning of the stream we said that the message that Nexus is a utopia is spread, it's like a whole worldwide scheme. People assume that people liked life better there and they just cut contact. They wanted to move on and start over at a certain point and not hearing anything back. It's more general due to outside propaganda, yep. So yeah. I would say at this state, there's no one that's not a feasibility to just leave Nexus. I would say at this point, like that's going to be like the hard line. Zero possibility of getting a message out there. Zero possibility of getting a message out there at this point in time. Zero possibility, not even an exception. You're not getting a message out there and people are not hearing back from you. When people arrive in Nexus, they're in Nexus. And I think that's all we had time for today. That's all we had time for today. How about, what happens if I close this? I close that. You working? Ooh. That's funky. Help me! Help me! Okay, there we go. It's a little funky. Blow off. We'll do our arm. We'll put our arm away. Put our pen away, and then we're gonna zoom out here a little bit. Say like that. And what else are we gonna do? What else are we gonna do? We're gonna hide these. We don't need those anymore. And what else do we need? What else is missing from my thing? Was it this one? Oh yeah, it was that one. Perfect. Yeah. So I'm gonna be taking a break. I'm gonna schedule. If I need a longer break, I'll let you know. Okay, but I'll schedule the stream once I get all my needs adjusted. When I get my self-care going on for myself. Just know again, we're gonna do a part 2. We're gonna do a part 2. But for now, that should be a basis for some more fuel, and we're gonna answer questions, additional specific questions tomorrow as it relates to characters, and we're gonna be working together on just like a little update refresh. And again, these are all in the form of VOD, so if anyone misses these activities, they can just go back and follow through with it if they're so interested to. Otherwise, you know, they can have a basic understanding. It's cool. It's cool. Yeah, see you soon. Goodbye, everyone. I'll see you soon.